Welcome back to Curse, Code, and Crown, a live play Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition podcast featuring a fully original world and campaign. I am the wizard Cronox, observer of time. Curse, Code, and Crown features our regular voiceover artists and improvisers, Laura Elizabeth as Princess Gwendolyn, Tyler Hewitt as Makka Deathcap, and Ryan LaPlante as Duncan Danno, alongside our dungeon master, the incredible Tom McGee. So get ready for an adventure including thrills, chills, and hope for a brighter tomorrow. It's time for Curse, Code, and Crown!
You've stuffed the memory of an entire race inside yourself and are trying to smuggle them out of a building so they can help find you a way to leave and possibly escape the super powerful dead sorceress who's been really fucking up everyone's shit. The vines are rapidly unwrapping, opening the exit. You know you'll have to kind of book it out of here pretty quick. What's your strategy? Also, keep talking. My light is flickering, and it's going to drive me nuts. I can still hear you, though, so... Scheme!
Standing here, feeling uncomfortable.
All right, we need to get... we got to put your cloak on you. That seems important.
Yes.
Strap it around you. And we'll just say that after you received your answers, you swore yourself to an hour of silence. So you can't answer any questions because you just need to focus inwardly on how the questions affected you. Makka, this is an awkward question, but you sort of are back and forth with your skills. How comfortable are you lying?
I am not opposed to it. I understand we are few, and the tainted root people are many. I understand subterfuge is required here.
All right. The other thing is we have to get to the pod. We can't ask a lot of questions of the Memorarian because they said that they are basically kaput at this point until they open the door. Do we say we want an audience with the Baroness? Do we just try to walk in? Do we wait a few hours and try to break into the pod in the middle of the night?
Sorry, just to be clear, the pod is not...
it's a different location. That's why we have to get the... So we just got to get away from everyone. What if we just go back to where we started and say that we got to have our time alone, and then after the Oath of Silence is lifted, we'll go back and celebrate with everyone?
The only sort of tricky spot for this, I will warn you, is the Memorarian's space is behind the throne room. So you'll have to go directly past the Baroness to get out.
I mean, she did expect us to come out, right?
Is the Baroness wearing any of my recent batch of faux Sundara?
She is.
So at this time, then, Makka will just kind of get down to brass tacks of what he was trying to accomplish here.
When I created the Sundara for the festival, I incorporated a sort of conduit.
I'm just going to slowly raise a finger just to stop this for a second, and then I'm just going to point at the necklace on Gwendolyn, and then just mime like a talking hand, and then just like into an ear and raise both hands as though it's a question mark, because I don't know what that necklace does in terms of what Leonea could engage with.
Can I cast Detect Magic on the necklace?
It is hella magic, sir. You didn't cast it on the pond. So if you did, you would feel the same. But yes, it feels definitely enchanted.
Any particular school of magic? Necromancy again, or...
No, actually, in this case, it is not necromancy. This is probably... I'm trying to remember. I'm terrible with the names of the schools of magic, so forgive me as I look this up.
Yeah, they're not all fully what you would expect for spells sometimes.
They're just a little bit left of what I would normally name them, but that's fine. This is likely of... divination.
Okay. Makka knowing that divination, okay, yeah. So Makka will mime back to the two of you, the hand speaking, pointing to the necklace, and he will nod kind of with consternation of like, yes.
And I'll go, oh, yes, you built in a conduit to aesthetic beauty. I think that's true. You really handled and built the spores into
Roll me a
the
deception
makeup.
check there, Hoss.
Okay, and I'm gonna lean into this one and use some of my braggadocio to try to help, because it's not my best skill, but it is charisma based. Thank you, level 5. God.
You're welcome, Ryan.
God damn it. That is a 12.
I mean,
It's the
nothing
North End.
happens.
Yeah.
It could have been worse, we all know mathematically.
Yeah, nothing happens. But you also, you're lying into a wire.
I was gonna say,
Like-
the lie was exactly the quality I just said it aloud. Like,
Oh, yeah,
if
no,
you
I know,
weren't
but
paying
also, like-
attention, maybe, but
Well, and for what it's worth, man, like, even if you'd rolled a nat 20, you still wouldn't know because you're just talking into one end of a phone.
true.
So, yeah, nothing happens.
Okay, so realizing that Duncan made like an excellent observation just now, and after divining what the School of Magic is on that necklace, Makka will just say,
In a few moments, I am going to ask you a question, and I will need an answer very, very quickly. Yes? Do you understand, both of you?
I've got the speed of a swordsman and the attention also of a swordsman. Also, I'm not great at metaphors, but yes, I'm prepared.
Good,
I'll try.
good.
and Makka starts walking out through the throne room.
Okay.
I'll follow.
I'm coming with. Very quietly.
The Memorarian is also coming. All right, so you stride out into the throne room, and the Baroness throws wide her arms and says, "Ah, yes, you have returned from asking your questions. Pray tell, what wisdom did you gain from the Memorarian? I am curious what outsiders such as yourself would know of it."
I asked the Memorarian the recipe for Sandara, that I will be able to more faithfully craft more of it for you.
Do you roll that deception check there, sir?
Nat 1.
I asked the Memorarium how I makey do that sun stuff.
She growls and says, "You accursed fool! The first thing I asked when the Sandara stopped arriving was how makey do the sun stuff. The Memorarian is not aware of such things. That's why we use you turtles in the first place." She slams her hand, and one of the walls seems to bend inward towards you, almost like grasping hand, and then it sort of balls into a fist and dissolves back into the wall.
And I will...
Also, this new stuff is shit. Look at my eyebrow! And one of her eyebrows is clearly just, like, not moving. She's like, I look constantly vaguely confused. I hate it!
Oh, you are angry. Ah, I see.
Makka couldn't tell.
Totally.
Her face wasn't moving.
For the record, she's got a mix, so it's like a lot of, like, parts of her face are working.
It's very Picasso.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, I like the accidental Picasso.
To do like a Tom McGee constantly makes references that tickle me. Now for you, sir, it's the Van Houten divorce episode where, hang on a second, we were late because she had to put her eyebrows on. What? And one eyebrow is like up and the other one's angry?
Yeah. It's that, and it's the Clone High. All celebrities have their eyebrows added in post, where Ashley Angel's
right.
eyebrows are just like all over his face.
Yeah.
But yeah, Llewellyn Van Houten was definitely the first time that joke got me, and
And the joke that lasts with me forever is always Homer Simpson's makeup shotgun. Just that. That's just a description.
That is the
said
baseline
the
of how
whore.
I've always imagined these creatures are just like. Cool. So
Makes me so
yeah.
happy.
So the Baroness is clearly cheesed. However, I'm not going to make you roll a deception check or really give you much consequence for that, because it's also a very believable lie. And they're like, she wasn't like, no one was like, oh, I bet they're going to go down there and try and unveil our society's deepest secrets. So she's like, well, I suppose this will do. You still have not answered for me the question of why the shipment stopped. It would be much better if you could get us the stuff right from the source.
Is this still like my one that we're role playing right now? Because I'm happy to be an idiot here. Or are we?
You can do whatever you want. This is just the Baroness continuing her.
And this is in common, I imagine, not Sylvan, or is this
Yeah.
Sylvan?
This is
direct to
common.
Makka?
Yep.
Makka will. No, I see. I think the one needs to be harder because I feel like you let me get away with a lot just now. So Makka will just say,
The princess.
Line.
Oh, the princess. The princess is forming an alliance of equals. Makka has already been welcomed within, and the Turtles of Bleen will likely join in future. When they have joined, we will happily follow up with them to ensure that they meet any legally contractually bound rights. It is not correct for someone to have been robbed or let down without recompense.
Agreed.
I nod along solemnly.
So, Laura, you go to nod, and instead there's a hard metallic clank as your helmet hits the giant fucking wood creature that's stuffed up inside you. So you're like, tink! And the Baroness looks directly at you. Roll a deception check, please.
Okay. That's 5 on the die, so 4.
She always makes that sound.
You hear the Memorarian go, yeah! So now the Baroness is like highly on edge, and the doorway, the exit doorway begins to slowly close over with vines. And she looks to you, Duncan, and she says, listen, hot stuff. I'm giving you one chance to explain what is occurring here. I know the Memorarian can be a truly haunting experience. Why are your friends acting so weird and sneaky?
I won't lie to you. We've tried to keep it secret, but we can't keep secrets from someone as great as yourself. We asked about the magic of Leonea and the strengths of Leonea, because if this god is as powerful as your people have suggested, we need to bring it back to our own lands, not to steal it, but to spread the worship, so that the aesthetics and the power can spread and the worship can spread, and we can build a world where everyone is aware of Leonea as that great beauty deserves. And then he just takes off his hat and holds it over his heart and looks to the ground.
All right, go ahead and roll probably persuasion more so than deception. No,
Yeah.
it's deception. You're lying. You're lying.
That is
though.
true. I'm trying to persuade them I'm
Yeah,
not lying.
I'll give you I'll give you advantage though, because you're like hewing pretty close to the truth. Yeah.
All right,
Where is
that
the
is 22.
It's a good lie. She nods and says, our people too were lost before Leonera, I assume. I think. It wasn't yesterday, so you know how that goes. In any case, yes, bring the word of her and her beauty to all those who would listen in any tongue. And then she yells to everyone else, in any tongue, everyone, am I right? Yeah, I'm right. Okay, great. In any tongue. And then she looks to Makka and she says, we look forward to your better Sundara soon. Make with the sun thing. We will expect more tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yes. Yes. Good.
Yes, it is good.
and Makka, sensing that like the conversation is over, will like just keep heading for that exit. Be like, yes, good, yes.
The vines pull away from the door. Although Gwendolyn, one catches your foot as you go to leave. For a second, you look back to see if there's like a magic salt ring or anything, but nope, it's just a vine slowly receding away. And as you kind of like full on Keaton over your shoulder with your vaguely immovable body, the Baroness, half of her grin and like the middle part of her grin seem to grow wider while the rest just remain completely stationary. Got you. And then the vines close up behind you.
Tree pranks. Those aren't disturbing. Let's go. Princess, how about you lead the way? Because I feel like you might just intrinsically know, one might say, from where your heart is right now, which direction we should all go in.
I solemnly put my hand over my heart. And just, but like, I don't know if I hear anything, I just kind of like tap it.
Because we don't know whether to go left, right, or straight.
Yeah.
We just need to go.
No. So you begin to make your way kind of down from the pod. It occurs to you, though, as you move, that really the only way you know through the kind of mess of vines is the path of... Jesus Christ, it's on the wrong sheet now.
Path of Splendor.
Thank you, the Path of Splendor, which, of course, will lead you past the pond. Are you willing to risk that?
Okay, here's the thing. We can't talk about this aloud, and we actually wouldn't. So we're, at this point, have just decided to follow Gwendolyn. So either she's going to walk down the path or not, and we just will follow.
Lead on, Gwendolyn. What do you do?
Is there any, so I know it's a path, but like, do I see any way to like go off the path slightly and still be able to move? Or is this just like...
It's, well, similar to on your way in, it's just like thick forest on either side. So it's not exactly a comfortable walk through. You also notice a large proliferation of sneezer flies flittering amongst the trees.
I think I just like kind of pull my like cloak like tighter around me and kind of lean forward and just kind of start like doing a quick jog past, trying to get through it as quickly as possible.
And we will follow, jogging down the Path of Splendor.
Yes, as you approach the pond, the water begins to ripple. And,
faster.
The butterflies begin to kind of crowd into the exit from the path.
They're blocking our way?
They're starting to, yep.
Oh. Oh, go away. No.
They begin to form a canopy overhead as well.
I will say out loud,
Bromeliad.
No, you have to sneeze it. He told us that.
I
Then you
don't have
translate
to
it.
sneeze.
I thought you did to summon it.
No, I mean, I don't have to sneeze.
Oh, I can't believe this. And I want to reach into my pouch and just take out like a pinch of gunpowder and just flick it into his turtle nostrils.
Sure.
What is that?
You see one of the butterflies break off from the rest and sort of disappear.
well, Makka's not going to wait around for Bromeliad to show up. He's going to keep trying to move forward.
Okay. As you kind of rush towards the exit, Makka, I think you throw yourself kind of shell first into the wall. Go ahead and roll me a strength save, please.
That is a save. So that is 19.
19. You kind of burst through the butterfly wall, but as you look back, it rapidly closes back up. So now you're on the outside of it, but you can still see your friends within. Gwendolyn, as you run past the pond, a slimy hand grabs your foot. And you look down to see water swirling around the desiccated hand, which is clutching at your leg.
And much like Link in the Water Temple, the final boss in Ocarina of Time, I just take out my sword and try to cut the arm away.
Okay, go ahead and roll an attack, please.
Nat 20.
All right.
Ooh, nice.
Your sword cuts through the arm. As it does so, it's like cutting through water. There's just like a splash. And as the water dissipates, you see the arm seems to almost be illusionary. But the water has dissipated that was holding you in place, so you're able to run past now.
Excellent.
And Duncan, bringing up the rear, you see Gwendolyn get grabbed. To your eye, you can see sort of an arm in the water, but as she cuts it, it's like whenever you see something kind of through a wave, like it's there, but it's hard to see. So it cascades down, but you see water start to kind of fountain up in the center, and a shape begins to form.
Great. I want to keep Gwendolyn moving, so as long as she's booking it, I'm like that Secret Service guy over the shoulder. Like there's a hand on her back, but I'm watching the threat, so I know where she is, but I know what's coming at us.
Okay, so the watery figure seems to extend an arm as you rush towards the wall of butterflies, and then suddenly it pulls back hard, and Gwendolyn, your entire body is kind of pulled up and back as the pendant around your neck swings backward, theoretically choking you, but you don't have a neck, but grabbing the memorarian kind of in the gap. Unfortunately, Duncan, you're like right there with a hand on her shoulder. So go ahead and roll a dex save, please, as you try and get out of the way of the falling armor.
I was thinking to myself, why the fuck am I still wearing this necklace?
That is a 27.
This is not your first haunted armor with a mystical wood sage inside being pulled back by a spooky water ghost whose vein rodeo. So you sidestep as Gwendolyn just full on like swings back. You hit the ground and are dragged towards the edge of the water. Duncan, what do you do?
Alrighty, I got this water thing. It's definitely haunted. The speed of Ryan talking all happens instantaneously because Duncan is trained. Ryan is less trained, so thank God for the audio medium. Okay, I can shoot it. That's an option, but it's water. What does water hate? Fire, but fire goes out. Okay, I don't know if this will fuck with it at all, but trees hate fire, and water's kind of the opposite of fire. So I would like to make a Molotov cocktail of my remaining flask of oil. I just want to chuck that, like, I just want to light it up so that it gets tossed when it's breaking so I can just torch the surface of the water if I can.
Okay, sure. Go ahead and roll me I think it's athletics to throw, but I'll let you add 1 because I assume your dex is higher than your strength.
Oh, I was going to say, I actually have proficiency with improvised weapons.
Well, there you go, champ. Roll for that.
And it'll be good.
Yep.
Hey.
Great. So if we use... Do you want to use athletics, you were saying?
Sure, yep.
Great.
Yeah, you have to ask your audience for something that fits inside a bread box, and then you put it in that and you throw that.
All right, I rolled an 18.
Okay, great. So the Molotov cocktail arcs through the air, hits the water, sprays flame all over it. Now the kind of watery form is... it's not as put together. Again, whatever the illusionary magic is seems to have a hard time maintaining its shape when challenged. Gwendolyn stops being pulled for a moment. But Gwendolyn, you can still feel the pressure on it. It just seems to be distracted by the flames. Gwendolyn, what do you do?
Can I just try to pull the necklace off my head?
Yeah, roll me a strength check at disadvantage, please. It's difficult because it's being pulled directly back, so it's kind of like getting a garrote up over your garrote.
Oh, that's not great.
10.
Okay, the Memorarian yells, this hurts me too! But you begin to get dragged further back. Makka, you hear a commotion kind of through the trees behind you, and Bromeliad kind of bursts through, and he sees the wall of butterflies, and he says to you in shock, like, What is this? Why are they doing this?
My companions are on the other side. We need a way through. We need a guide.
So he kind of like throws up his arms, and it's very much like Magneto in the new X-Men movies, where it's just Fassbender taking cool poses to imply that magic is happening.
Yeah.
And he kind of like holds that pose for a moment, but the butterflies do not respond to his summons, and he seems genuinely vexed. And he says, "I can guide you out of here, but I don't understand why they no longer respond to me."
Yes, well then, you will wait here. We will come through this wall, one way or another, and then we will need you. Yes?
Yes. And he just kind of nods to you and takes up a fighting pose.
Good.
I'm going to cast Flaming Sphere. I'm going to create a giant fireball right in front of me on the ground, growing where this swarm of butterflies is to just burn up the insects. And as bonus actions, I can direct it. So I'm going to punch a hole through this thing with a Flaming Sphere and come through behind it, running.
That is fucking rad as hell. So yeah, as soon as the sphere pierces the sort of like swirling orb of butterflies, the ones caught in it, like this isn't one of those weird Palpatine situations where they just keep flying into it. They all stop, and the sort of sphere force begins to dissipate. You barrel through to see Gwendolyn struggling with the pendant around her neck, and a sort of column of fire as Duncan has lit up the pond.
Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I was just trying to figure out what I am going to do.
I understand,
My goodness.
man. I don't think pre-dinner break any of you were expecting to fight a weird, spooky
Nope.
pool monster with a wooden sage inside someone else. Like, it's cool. Things happen.
Yeah, I think I'll run to Gwendolyn and add my strength to hers.
Okay, great. So, Gwendolyn, go ahead and roll a strength check. Roll it with advantage, because now you've got Makka helping.
Oh, and guidance doesn't specify what you need to use it for, only just like on a certain check. So the guidance that I cast for your speech, I'm going to say, like, let's use it now to add plus D4 to your strength roll.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice, because now that's a 14. Oh, wait, D4. Sorry, I was thinking like 4.
Yeah, you roll the D4, yeah.
Gate. And of course, it's a 1. So 11 total.
Wait, like a nat one? Oh, plus one.
No,
One on
the
the D4.
4. Yeah, the D4
Okay.
was a 1.
Unfortunately, even with the additional assistance, the pull is too strong, and you begin to get very, very quickly pulled backward as an actual corporeal figure begins to emerge from the swirling fiery water. Duncan, you see a darkness begin to grow there, and you can tell that the magic has been disrupted enough that a physical form has had to join. And you see kind of the skeletal form of a woman in the flames, and the creature begins to step through the fire and walk towards Gwendolyn. What do you do?
I look over at her, and I just yell at the woman, and I say, "Hey, Leonea, when you're this bang, they call you Mister." And then just the gun comes out from under the cape, and it's just like, basically, I will get 2 shots off because I am level 5 now, but there'll still be a 1 off, but I get 2 attacks with an attack action, so I'm going to try to shoot her. And I think I'm going to go for the head, because I feel like if she's vain, she wouldn't like having parts of her face missing. It's
I'm with
step
you,
1,
baby.
step 2
Yeah.
thing. Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
That's not a good wow.
Do you need new dice, Ryan?
No, these ones are pure math. It's a problem.
Just
All right, that
refresh the
is
page.
an 11 and a 10.
Wow.
Wow, wow.
The water and the fire seem to be cascading kind of down either side of her face. And yet still it has an odd bluish glow. You empty 2 shells into her. The gun sort of kicks. And part of it like blasts off part of her cheekbone. Another one seems to rip through her throat. But she seems completely unfazed.
And then I just say, great. And it's just like, stow the weapon, sprint forwards. I guess I'll go with the rapier in hand for this one. So drawing the rapier, but I'm on my way to them kind of thing.
Cool. Gotcha. All right. So let's roll initiative since we're into the shit now.
Now I have a good roll. Dirty 20.
Cool.
16 for Makka.
And 15 for Duncan.
All right. So, Gwendolyn, you're up first. Leonara is pulling you back towards her. That said, she's also emerged from the pond. What do you do?
Can I get my sword between, like underneath the necklace?
Not without
At
putting
all?
it through the memorarian.
Fuck. Okay. Then I think what I have to do is the sword's got to go flying. So I don't know. It seems like non-magical stuff isn't hurting her. Maybe magical stuff will.
Sure. Go for it.
So just, huck in the sword and try to put it straight through her brain. Just like straight jab. And now that's actually a bonus action. So I actually want to use an action. I want to use my Will of the Soul to increase my strength by 1
Okay.
right now. Which is probably good. So that is 17.
17 will hit.
Okay, good.
Barely. But it
All
hits.
right. All right. That is 5 plus 2. 7. 7 slashing.
So the sword goes flying, slashes her across the face. And it's just that classic like T-1000 thing where she just kind of like cracks her neck and turns her head down to face you. And there's like clearly a slash across the skull now, but still coming with its horrible, desiccated face that is on fire. It's gross.
And I just yell, "Boo! You're ugly!" in an accent. Boo! You're ugly!
And she yells back as she like chews and then spits out the bullet that Duncan shot her with. She says, "That is a bold boast coming from one with no face. After all, when you're this beautiful, they call you God!" And then it is her turn.
And I just say, "I'm not talking about physical appearance."
Gwendolyn, you are pulled back with tremendous strength. Roll an opposed strength check for me, please.
16.
16? All right. You barely squeak by mine. So the necklace pulls you hard. You go flying back towards the pond. But at the last minute, you're able to get it up and over your head, and it disappears into the depths. You're now basically at Leonera's feet, but Duncan's kind of rushing in behind you.
Cool.
So that was one of her actions, and then with her other action, she's going to stomp directly down on your head. What is your AC right
Lovely.
now?
20.
All right, she will hit.
Butts.
So that is 9 points of damage. as she crunches down. As she does so, water just kind of sprays into the helmet, flooding it. It's doesn't have any mechanical effect, but it's gross. Just good old-fashioned corpse water. All right, that brings us to Makka, who had 16, if I'm correct.
Yep.
Great.
I will. I'll wheel the flaming sphere around to crash into Leonea.
Great.
So she needs to make a dex save.
I was gonna say, knowing the princess is at her feet, would that hit both of them?
No, I can have it like come at it. Basically, it stops moving when it collides with something. So I can have it like wheel around and.
I feel like there are
hit her in
enough
the back or
angles
something
that
like
I would
Hit her in the
accept
butt. Yeah.
Yep. All right, she failed.
Oh, okay. So that's 2d6 fire damage.
She is rolling shit.
These are good rolls. That's 9 fire damage.
9 fire damage. All right.
And then, so that was my bonus action. For my regular action, I will. The wall of butterflies has dissipated.
No, it's the butterflies are still around, but they're basically making it impenetrable by like flying incredibly quickly. Now they can't because of the whole. Now that the fireball is moved, they start to swirl back up.
Okay, so I got to keep the fireball up for us to escape. Okay, so yeah, I'll say.
This is the time. This is the question. Do we stay and fight and finish this, or do we leave?
The first oath is my strength protects the weak. You two run. This one's either where I walk away or where I end this.
Okay, then I will beast shape into a warhorse. Just a big fucker of a horse. Here we go. I had to pull up the stats. How far back was Gwendolyn pulled from me by that necklace?
Probably about 20 feet.
That is the perfect number for you to have said, Tom.
You're welcome. Happy birthday and Christmas for this year.
As a warhorse, I can perform a trampling charge. If the horse moves at least 20 feet straight toward a creature and then hits it with a hoof attack on the same turn, the target must succeed on a DC 14 strength saving throw or be knocked prone. So let's try that. I'm going to run and use a hoof attack. Plus 6 to hit, so that's 16.
Yep. It has exactly 16 AC.
2d6 plus 4 bludgeoning damage. 5 plus 4, 9 bludgeoning damage.
Yep.
And the horse will kind of like gesture with its head like get on.
So you knock her, you kind of like trample her down. The corpse is knocked backward into the water, and kind of the water rushes down with it as it goes. And you kind of stand there, sort of like gesturing to Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn, you roll over onto your side and kind of do that awkward thing where we've established you have a hard time getting up. Mm-hmm. So you kind of like begin to force yourself up. As you do, you catch the dim blue glow in the water again, kind of in the depths, and you see your own helmet reflected in the water before you. You can roll an insight check if you need more.
I need to.
I'm at your side, like, you need to get on the horse. That's the whole point here.
13.
13. This feels an awful lot like your dream. But in your dream, you were human and you were seeing armor. And Leonara was elven, but was seeing her present form. You don't need to do anything with this information. This is just information you have.
Right. So I'm seeing my helmet head. Great.
What? Great. So what does that mean?
I don't don't know.
All right, well, we know the weakness is vanity, correct? And in the dream, you were seeing
Right.
one thing, and then you saw the opposite. Now you're seeing the same. Can we get...
Oh, maybe that means, like, I'm not vain anymore.
And with that, you mount a warhorse.
Get out of here.
All right, and with that, the two of you...
Oh, we're allowed to go? I wasn't sure if we had to wait turn
Nope.
sequence or
No.
anything.
Okay. With that,
So
the two of you gallop away.
Yeah, it's just flaming sphere in front of a warhorse, just busting through a wall of butterflies.
Bromeliad's like, ah! He leaps out of the way. All right, Duncan, what do you do?
I think for Duncan, this is just okay, this is game time. Do I see anything glowing in the water, or
You
am
do.
I just...
You see the bluish hair and the smile and the glowing golden face.
So I know she's down there, and I'm just mapping out the dream as I'm I think he's instinctively stretching a little bit in case it's going to come out of the water and he's got to do this again. But he's just thinking, and he's like, okay, so the princess in the dream, saw the armor, and the evil old sack of shite saw herself, but it was evil. But now the princess sees herself as she is. If I can get... Oh, there we go. All right, so if I can get her to come up here and then look in the water, she'll see her own reflection and realize she's ugly. And then she goes insane. I don't know. I really got to trust this Memorarian. Shite. You know what? What if I just break her bones? That seems pretty smart. I'll call her ugly and break her bones. And then what I'll do is... in my pack, because I've realized stabbing does not seem to work in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to take out my hammer in one hand and my crowbar in the other. And I'm going to dive into the lake to go kill this sack of shit.
All right, so you swim down. It gets darker and darker and darker. And then finally you see the body floating there. That said, its face does look kind of fucked up from the slashing and the shooting. So clearly this was not an illusion, but the creature itself floating there. And you just start fucking hammering and crowbarring. And you get exactly 2 strikes in before it grabs your throat. Grabs, for lack of a better term, the squishy bit under your rib cage and just squeezes. It's incredibly painful. And it begins to Superman you up and out of the water.
All right.
I assume you're still swinging?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to fuck it up, but I think it's I'm just going to use the hammer hand. I'll let the crowbar go, and I want to keep hitting it in the face. And then I know my reflective gauntlet pretty well. And there's probably a patch that isn't terribly decorated on the inside because I'd need that for protective purposes. So if I can hit it with its own reflection from the other arm, it's like wham, wham, wham. See if I can reflect it at itself and if that'll do anything.
So it's kind of forcing you up. It's still very dark. You're going to take 7 points of damage from it kind of throttling and hitting you as you try and maneuver it.
Great. I would like to use Uncanny Dodge as a reaction that I get at level 5, so it'll be cut in half.
Big fan of that.
Cool. In this case, the Uncanny Dodge is more so just flexing your neck muscles as hard as you can.
Writhing panic.
Yeah, so it smashes you against the walls of this sort of weird well-esque pond. You get a sense that it might be too dark for it to see a reflection.
Okay, well then I just want to keep hitting it with a hammer, but not in a way that'll stop it from throwing me back into the air. If I feel like I'm really in trouble or I'm close to passing out, I will try to get a hand on my breathing barrel of Bertha, which will theoretically have 1 lungful of air in it.
Can you roll me a dex save for kind of, I think what I'm imagining this as is once you realize it might be too dark, kicking off against this wall to kind of pull her up a bit. So go ahead and roll that, please.
That is a 14.
14. All right, so you could take another 6 points of damage because basically you're sacrificing defense for strategic maneuvering.
Cool.
However, you do manage to get up to a point where there's light. She seems to be looking fairly intently on you, but you get a lucky hammer strike in that kind of knocks her head to the side. And then you drag your gauntlet up in front of you, just as her head is turning back in that like leering corpse way that's super creepy. What do you say? You're underwater, but I imagine you'd still have a quip.
Yeah. I mean, it probably just sounds like, but I think what he says is, "You're not beautiful, but don't worry, you're not ugly. You're pug fugly." Then she gets hit with the reflection.
So she sees the reflection and just immediately like her whole body undulates and she lets go of you, and her hands like try and like unsmudge your arm. And at this point your lungs are starting to burn, so I feel like you reach for your barrel. And then you see her hands kind of run to her face. And there's like one of those underwater like sonic screams that just kind of blasts you back against a wall. And you see the creature kind of flail and undulate and kind of like claw at its face. And then eventually its hand goes through its face and it just tears the skull and face away. And when that is gone, as kind of the jaw falls off, the body becomes still and sinks down to the bottom.
Okay, I'm gonna swim up because that
you,
sucked.
You burst out of the water, and there are gray dead butterflies in a ring around the glade.
All right, I'm a hero, which means I'm heavily injured. This is what I've learned about being a hero. Why did I pick the blood oath? And he's just gonna like haul himself up and be like, "Horsey, princess."
They are long gone, but Bromeliad is there, and he's like, "I saw where they went. Follow me."
Okay, perfect.
He yells in Sylvan, repeatedly pointing, and you kind of get.
"Let's go, you tootling bastard! I'm with you." And then I'm just gonna a lot of like coughing water, catching breath with hands on knees.
He gestures to his
jogging a little
back.
bit. I look around and don't see anyone, and then I climb on his back and let it happen.
And he just starts Jack Skellington running. His arms are flailing in kind of stupid ways, and he takes off. It's a vaguely Kermity run.
Yes!
So, Gwendolyn and Makka horse, you are barreling kind of now through the trees. Makka, you're lucky you spent a lot of time in swamps because it means that this is actually kind of vaguely navigatable for you. You've noticed the butterflies fall out of the sky around you. There don't seem to be any anymore, which is odd because you've kind of grown used to their presence. And you notice that they're kind of laying there gray and unmoving as you horse your way forward. Gwendolyn, you've noticed this as well, but because you only have time to look and you don't necessarily need to worry about being the horse, you're the one of the two of you who notices that there's a slight bluish glow that's starting to begin to spread amongst some of their wings. So these gray things are laying there dead, but slowly you can see just flecks of color beginning to return to the wings. Inside you hear the Memorarian say, "The entrance is up ahead. It is hidden, but it is there. You must dig through the brush." And you see kind of one of those beautiful, massive, old-growth trees. And sure enough, there seems to be a gap underneath it that might be large enough for you guys to sneak through.
Probably not large enough for a warhorse, though, huh?
Nay!
A large beast. By the way, do you know how fast I can move?
How fast
when I'm
can you move,
transformed as a warhorse? I can move at Makka speed. Anyway, so I'll.
Well, and that's a wrap on Curse Code and Crown because Tom just quit. And that's a wrap on Tom's career as a DM and storyteller. He'll never act again. Tom just became an accountant.
I can help you with your T4s, but for the rest, you're on your own.
Roll a T4.
Call my...
He's back. Just like that, he's back in, baby.
Help me.
When I thought I was out,
Thank
they
you.
pulled me back.
Punning me back in.
Tyler, that killed me.
So I will...
Tyler, can you
Stop.
actually tell me how many feet you can move as a horse? Because this will bug me and I will have to look it up later.
It's 60. It's double like a
Thank
regular
you.
person's.
My
speed.
brain just relaxed. I had a few extra wrinkles for a second.
Yeah, that's fair. So dumb.
So if we're there, like at the entrance, Makka
Yeah.
will like stop and wait for her to get off before reverting back to his turtle form.
What does that transformation look like?
It's the same every time. The spores create a cloud that obscure the actual Sailor Scout transformation, and he so in this case it'll be like that sound that horses make of like. And just like out of like the horse's nostrils come like spores.
Straight
just
from the
a
horse's
cloud.
mouth.
I was going to
exactly.
say, Tyler, I think normally you'd have a full spore cloud, but this time it's only half. So what kind of weird pornographic shit's going on under there? This is the
okay,
uncensored
fine.
version.
Down here,
Fine,
everything
sure.
is half.
You want to do this? Huh? You want it this way? Okay. All right. So the horse's flesh starts to ripple and bulge, and the skin splits, and the muscle tissue can be seen, and the skin basically comes away as the spores like corrode it.
I promptly
and-
dismount.
Yeah, it.
Yeah, because the skin falls off with the saddle and you on it.
Yeah. And because it is a larger creature, from within the horse's rib cage, you can see a turtle kind of starting to like break free of the flesh as it sloughs off, and he walks out through the smaller, dissipated cloud of spores.
Which is working very hard to digest the rest of this horse corpse.
yeah.
Horps, if you will. Yeah, okay. So, Duncan, that's what you get to see just the tail end of as your long-striding friend kind of catches up.
Oh, great. And then I realize I'm still riding my long striding friend and I'm going to get seen doing this and I cannot allow that to happen. So I do a backflip off of him as though this was a cool trick I'd planned.
And he runs up and says, "Here you are, new friend." Wait, what? And he looks around and doesn't see you.
And then I stride forwards and clap him on the shoulder and I just say, Bromeliad, you're a true friend. That's pretty much it. Sorry, I'm out of breath. She really squeezed down in the diaphragm region. Ugh, I hated that one.
He says in Sylvan back to you, "Hey, you know, my friend, you're a good man, and I'm really glad we did this together. You look really hurt. Did she squeeze you really hard down in the below the rib region?" And then both of you look at each other in general confusion. And then the best friendship that ever could have existed in this world or any other, sadly does not progress because of a language barrier.
Yeah. And we both like walk away being like, almost.
I had such fucking plans for us.
I'm going to cast Cure Wounds on Declan before I forget.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
How much do you heal me for?
Over in Dum Dum's 2099, Declan gains some health. It's
me.
useful for the revolution.
Oh, man. I made it. Did I make it so far? I bet I did.
You
I bet I
did.
said
No,
Declan
this. I think you
before.
made.
No, I
It's the
screwed
first
up a
I've
bunch.
noticed.
This one was you. It's all my fault for choosing this name. Interesting fact, I chose it because I looked up a bunch of different names, and this one actually means Dark Warrior. That's why I chose the name Duncan, because I like the meaning underneath it. But what do you heal me for, buddy?
Yeah, it's,
Second level, so 2d8 plus my modifier. Oh, those are okay. 7 plus 4, 11, and...
It's okay. It gets
God.
me back to 100% with 11. So my stitches
Okay.
leave my body. I'm relaxed. I feel better rested than I did earlier today. Like the morning
yeah, you
exhaustion
can drop
has gone away.
the intelligence disadvantage.
All right, so showed Leonia her reflection, and then she sort of ripped her own skeleton apart, and then all the butterflies were dead.
You see one of their wings begin to flick on the ground.
Ah, fuck me, she's not dead.
It seems this is only a temporary victory.
The Memorarian mutters kind of out of Gwendolyn's mouth. She is bound here by her familiar. With its death, she will truly die.
Wait, which one's her familiar?
It lives here. And then it, like, just starts, like, tinging against your arm, Gwendolyn, until you, like, awkwardly raise it. It goes, yes, there. And it points to the entrance to Old Haven.
All right. And the gap, as it is a size that we can get through, or do we need to?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where there's enough like moss and collected like dirt and debris that if you kind of push through, you'll realize there's actually like stairs leading down. But from here, it just looks like one of those like little mossy patches under a tree that you know, if you're a hobbit, you'd hide from Nazgul under or some such.
All right.
Right, well, friends, now that I'm fully healed, I am the sneakiest of us. Would anyone object to me going first?
No.
Not at all.
Great,
I
let's
do.
all live forever. Oh, except, you know.
Me, the DM, not.
I was like, Memorarian, what don't I know?
No, let me lead the way. Memorarian stands for Dark Warrior in my people's language.
Yeah, I walk forward just holding the Memorarian out like an awkward baby. No, but I'll lead the way so I can like try to stealth forwards to see what we can find.
Cool. Go ahead and roll me a stealth check, please.
That's a nat 1. All right, so I just walk forward going, don't worry, I've got this. I'm the sneakiest of us. We just hear that fucking echo everywhere.
Yeah, you step forward on the patch of lichen, is that what it's called? Lichen? It immediately
Lichen.
collapses under you, and you fall face first down a flight of stairs. So go ahead and take
11 points of damage.
4 points of damage.
All right.
As you awkwardly stumble face first down a flight of stairs.
I will uncanny dodge that.
Cool. You tuck your head so it still hurts, but a little less.
Yeah, and then I turn and yell back up the stairs. That's the best way to check for traps. I did that for you. And then I like start brushing myself off, and I'm like, fuck me, I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah. You brush yourself off and find yourself standing at the edge of a chasm. There is a massive drop to the left and right of you. You're kind of standing on a platform. You're lucky you came to a stop where you did, because another couple feet and you would have been off the edge. Bridging the chasm to the other side is a kind of massive stonework bridge that seems to be mostly cracked. There's chunks of it that are still kind of stone slabs, but the rest are held together by sagging vines that seem to have almost operated as the sort of suspension structure under them. But since the bridgeway has broken, the structural integrity is kind of fucked up. You can think of this in platform video gaming terms as something you're probably going to have to jump a bunch on. On either side of the chasm, the whole place smells of sort of peat and sort of deep earth. Either side of the chasm is a pretty lengthy drop into sort of fucking 40K got in my head. I was about to say grim darkness. Into sort of it's dark, but you can still make out kind of twisting vines that look pretty impaly, if one were to describe them. So it's dimly lit, but definitely looks like a terminal fall if one were to go.
All right, well, I guess I'll just wave the others down and be like, watch out, and then we can try to figure out what the fuck we're going to do about this.
On the far
Business ahead of
side, you can see a stone doorway similar to the one that you've got behind you. Again, remarkably, there's a lot of stonework down here, which is a marked difference from still obviously a lot of organics, but more architecture than you've been used to so far.
Is there any metal present?
No,
Okay.
at least not in this area.
All right, so we got an incredibly dangerous path in front of us that we need to cross. If we fall, it appears that we die, so let's not do that. Does anyone have any idea for how we can make this a little more safe than randomly jumping, which might not play to everyone's strengths?
Well, if we've got some rope, then whoever's the best jumper, and I'm going to say that's you, Duncan, go first and like tie a rope around you, and then like we'll be on the other end, and then once you get across, it's like, then we'll go. And then it's like, if we fall, then you can like brace yourself and catch us.
That's
I
not the
don't-
worst idea, actually. That might be able to be the best way we move forward. Question, if I'm going to do this jumping, would anyone object to perhaps tying a rope around me so that if I don't make it, I don't just fall to my death on the spiky vines?
Yes. All right.
oh, this is really gonna suck if I fall. And we'll do like the climbing rig kind of thing where it goes around both inner thighs so that like if he wipes out, he's very well supported instead of the like.
You don't want the Gwen Stacy? Just
the
good old fashioned back snap.
Yeah, no. He's gonna do a full like rig
Waist,
so that we've got
both
some
thighs, yes.
So we've got some
It's so
security.
convenient that all these fantasy characters go to climbing gyms enough to know how to do that. That's great. Cool. So
Makka's got the rope.
okay, Ryan, what's your montage song as you get ready? I'm imagining this is like a Sam Raimi Evil Dead rapid zoom in on all the things you're doing. Hot Fuzz does it as well. So just like quick action, like tied rope, holding rope, Makka.
Yeah. Groovy.
Thank you.
I think it's just Thunderstruck by AC/DC. I think is just the one that it's there and you're just seeing it ready to go. And then I think the end result of this might actually be more embarrassing than cool as we have to do it, as always happens when you think about these end results realistically.
Yeah, like your pants are bunching stupidly and...
Yeah. And then it's also like our jumping process would be like me jumping and then having someone else kind of like jump attached to the rope and then Makka going last and we kind of drag him if he falls. And it's just that shitty leapfrog of like three people.
Yes.
It's not cool once it starts, but it hopefully makes us less likely to die.
You've been Thunderstruck. All right, safety first, safety first,
Yeah.
safety first, safety first.
Oh, wait, seriously, no, tilt to the left. It's like the awkward
No,
couch
your other
moving
left.
that you have to do. Yeah.
Move around. No, you got to go down to go up. Go down. Ah. Next time we're hiring movers.
Everyone
Says
stop,
everyone who
everyone
never
stop.
hires movers.
We're never doing this without a rigger again.
Yeah, the Wire team wasn't available for today's episode because of social distancing, so we're on our own. Okay, so I don't want to make that many dice rolls. That sounds boring. So Ryan, go ahead and roll me an athletics check, please, to vault the first.
Random question. If I make my vaults a little sexier, would we object to an acrobatics as opposed to athletics?
Okay, here's the deal. I'll let you do acrobatics, but it'll be a disadvantage. And you've got a better boost on that, but I just think with the amount of rope tied to you, there is no...
Yeah, no, that's considerably worse odds. I'll pass on that, but I appreciate it. I will just go with the athletics then. Alrighty, let's find out what happens. He just like backs up, steals himself, runs forward, leaps into the darkness, like fully extended slow motion.
Waits for the die roll.
Falls down halfway through because that was only a 5, and then snaps at the bottom of the rope and has to get hauled back up again.
Yep. So for a second, you're fully suspended. You swing low like a sweet chariot. Come forward to carry me home. As you do, you can see just like rubble down below as well. You think you see sort of the white of bone, but you're not entirely certain. And then you slam into the wall and are awkwardly like hoisted back up. So this time, Ryan, I'll let you roll with advantage because you've had a try.
Yeah, and I think shame does fuel Duncan in terms of failure. It's the reason he's like obsessive about practicing is he doesn't actually want to be just okay at anything in this world. Oh, all right. It's okay. So he steals himself again. And he's like, I don't even need luck. You do these things because you're skilled. This is for the Dawnbreakers. This is for the future. This is everything we've ever needed. And then he's going to sprint forwards and then take off again. And that is a 14.
14. All right. You land safely. It's a little bumpy, but you make it look cool. And then I think for the rest of you, Makka, I'm going to get you to roll me an athletics as well, please, for your part of the leapfrogging. Gwendolyn, I think based on your order in the ropes, it doesn't
also,
make sense.
you weigh about 45 pounds plus whatever the...
Well,
we could
admittedly,
lug you across.
except that the memorarian is literally like a fucking like stump. In her. So she's heavier, but it's just based on that configuration.
Strength?
Yeah, you could brute force it each time. I don't think there's a lot of like...
Athletics the shit out of that. Like, I'm like going from like a deep squat. I'm like...
Yeah, you're honestly just an inconvenient pendulum for these two. Like, otherwise you're fine. All right, Makka.
Okay.
You try not to think about how majestically a warhorse could do this.
16 on my athletics.
So literally, I think it's like bad early like N64 character jumping, where just like you just jump directly forward. It's just a whoop.
It's all in the arms.
Yeah, it's very workmanlike. There's no. It's not sexy, but it is effective. So using this system, you're able to leapfrog your way kind of across. Each time you do, you feel the vines bend a bit more, and as is always the way when you reach the final section, you go to leap. You hear and feel a snap, and the whole bridge shifts under you. Duncan, as the head of the chain, it's kind of up to you to get an anchor on the other end. Go ahead and roll me a dexterity save, please.
Oh no.
That's a nat 1.
Okay, so you feel it shift and you leap. And it's one of those times where you just kind of try and use your whole body mid-air as a almost like a spring. Like you know how important it is for someone to be able to anchor it. And to your surprise, you're pretty sure you misjudged it, but you land safely on the other side. And as you stand up triumphantly, you realize the rope has fallen away. And the only thing worse than making this jump is making the jump only to watch your friend, or failing the jump is to succeed only to watch your charge and your friend fall to their death. The bridge is collapsing. Gwendolyn, Makka, what do you do?
Well, we're still tied to each other by ropes.
Yes. So Duncan is safe on the far side. The bridge is collapsing. The two of you are tethered together.
Mm-hmm. I think I just do like...
I got some.
Oh, if you got something, go for it.
All right, I'm burning through spell slots here, but I will cast a new spell.
Ooh.
Conjure Animals. And I just need to refer to one thing on here.
Come on, some sloths, because they're cute and I want to see them.
Yep. Conjure Animals. So you summon face spirits that take the form of beasts and appear in unoccupied spaces that you can see within range. Choose one of the following options for what will happen. One beast of challenge rating 2 or lower. 2 beasts of challenge rating 1 or lower, and then it kind of goes in descending order like that. I'm just going to look at these beasts really quick, because the list of 1s and 2s are small.
Yep.
But none of these.
This is
guys
already
can help.
way better than my idea.
Just 35 penguins fall to their death
gonna
just
say-
to your left.
Smash cut to Laura's idea, and it's just Gwendolyn, like, extending her arms as she falls to die more majestically.
I was going to say, Makka just creates such a pile of corpses you can land on it and survive. It's just so many dead animals 10 feet below you.
That was one of the most bananas powers in the one of the Bard's Tales games. You could just summon, if there was a spike pit, you'd summon a guy to just leap on the spike pit and then just walk over his back.
That's awesome.
Shit.
So I can summon 2 giant vultures.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. I chose vultures over eagles because swamp
Yep.
and decay and death, and they are kind of symbolic of that. But yeah, they are large size classification. So we're medium. They're bigger than we are. And so I think the way this works is that Jossie has deigned to extend more power to Makka, and in this place with Sylvan and the Fae, he is able to summon some as they coalesce into the form of these 2 giant birds, and they snatch us
Metal as fuck.
the floor before us falls away.
And they let out the majestic cry of the vulture.
That's correct.
And at least that's the sound they make when you hit them in Donkey Kong, so I got to assume it's real. The 2 vultures, dim crooked vultures, just pull you out of the abyss as the bridge snaps and collapses behind you. And then deposit you on the other side. What do they do then, Tyler?
They will perch nearby. They basically are I believe they're mine to command. Later on, the Fae get much more like fickle and can turn real nasty on you. But I believe, I'm just going to double check. They obey any verbal commands that you issue to them. No action required by you. If you don't issue any commands to them, they defend themselves from hostile. Blah blah blah. But yeah, I read ahead on like later spells. They can turn into like fairies can be like nasty and mean and shit like that. It's like once my control over you ends, they kind of tell you to fuck off and fuck you over. But in this case, these ones I guess are just more kind of.
And I
So
think
these ones won't feast
Where
on
are
our
your
remains.
shoes? Look, I summoned some fae to help me.
Yeah.
Now I'm cursed
they just
to be
perch nearby.
Great. Okay, so
And they just groom themselves in that way that like birds do, with just like the beak kind of going in under the wing and stuff like
Great.
that, and just like ruffling and waiting.
admittedly, they are a pretty slick solution
And they're
for getting
large.
back out. Now that there's no
Yeah.
bridge.
I think
Duncan is
I
gonna
think
like lunge forward and just hug Makka, and just be like, "Oh, thank the gods for you. That could have been such a tragic loss. I don't know what I would have done." And then he'll step back and then just slap Makka as hard as he can and be like, "Why the fuck did you let us jump over cliffs when you could do this the whole time? The princess was at risk. I'm sorry. And then he's just gonna hug him again and be like, "I'm not really equipped for. If I don't know what would have happened. If she died, that's worse than death. I'm just princess and just pull her in as well. This is just like awkward hugs all around. Like that's." Don't you ever do that to me again. You're both literally more important than me. I jumped into a lake to fight a ghost a minute ago. You're not allowed to die.
And then one of the vultures walks over and like throws a wing around all of you.
we're both like both of our heads, mine and Gwen's, are like on opposite sides of Duncan's as he's holding us. And so I'll just look behind Duncan's head over to Gwen and be like,
I just thought his jumping idea was good.
that's his explanation.
I thought it was a good plan.
And then I just let them both go. And I'm like, thank you as well, you beautiful feathered friend. And I like, I go to pet the vulture, and then it makes that sound. And I'm like, you know what? We might just be better without the touching. You know, I'll let you be you. I'll do my thing.
Then it waddles back over to its friend, and they go back to grooming. Through the back on the other side, across the chasm, there's a glint of blue that catches your eye as a butterfly makes its way into the chasm, and just kind of seems to just kind of hover there near the entrance.
Well, shite. Apparently, we got minimal time without the ghost at this point. So should we keep moving?
Yes.
Onward.
Yes, I should say so.
Just as a point of clarification, I'm forgetting the name again. Bromeliad is not with us.
He's
right?
not. He's back up at the
Yeah.
entrance,
Got it.
kind of
Cool,
guarding it. He also has a lot less information than you do, though. So what he thinks is a threat and what you guys consider a threat may be too fast.
Yeah, he also theoretically might be on Team Leonea
That's the
because he
thing,
does
yeah,
not
is-
know what we know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I didn't really tell him everything either. Just like, we need a guide.
For guiding.
Reasons.
And then I just needed a ride. You know, he has a lot of things he's not aware of.
Wicked. Okay, so you make your way forward into a massive circular stone chamber that has roots carved into it rather than fully present throughout the walls. In the dead center of this sort of circular room is a statue kind of made of what looks like ancient gold. And it is, you kind of have to squint because the pose is so different. Because it's in full tree, like, arms are up, branches, leaves, etc. But you're pretty sure you recognize the Baroness, despite the lack of face. Looking around, the circular walls are indented with sort of little small half-circle chambers where you can see there's gold. There seem to be some like gold coins. There seem to be some small ancient kind of cracked glass canisters with sort of like a dried golden liquid in them. It looks like it could almost be something like honey. You can see a skull in one of them. You can see some old withered flowers that are just almost dust at this point. Yeah. Makka, can you roll a religion check, please?
That'll be, with my modifier, total of 8.
8?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is vastly different from how you do things, so not of familiar to you.
The gold is a weird turn, I think, for Makka, given what he saw on the surface.
Beyond the statue, it's kind of, if you think about it in like video game terms, it's at the top of the room, and there are clearly kind of like behind it, there's an exit way that's kind of, it's not actively hidden, but it's also kind of meant to be tucked away.
Okay. Is it easy? It's meant to be tucked away. I was about to ask, is it easy to access?
It is. It's like
It is,
like
okay.
the way to think about it is like if you put a giant statue up, and you still obviously there's more building beyond it. It's just tucked away so it isn't like this. Theoretically, this room is a terminus, but there is room beyond it.
Do the rooms appear to be labeled in any way over their entrances, or is there a sign anywhere?
Yes, there's outside of this room as you entered. There were those same runes carved into the stonework that you've seen elsewhere.
I've got common, Aquan, Sylvan, and Druidic, which is like, Druidic is like symbols left in nature by druids and things like that. Are these symbols reminding me of anything?
They are evocative of a mix of Sylvan and Druidic, but they don't match either.
And so I can't really read what these say.
No, it's a little
Just
bit like,
because
I
it's
think
not-
like a good way to think of it would be like if you or I were to look at the ancient Greek alphabet, and it's like symbols we recognize, but not in any order that we would be able to make sense of unless we studied it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And sorry, just for my notes, how many chambers?
Oh, so the little
there from this
alcoves.
terminus?
So
Yeah.
basically,
Oh, that's right, alcoves.
yeah.
rather
So
than
there's 6
chambers.
alcoves. There's 3 on each
6 alcoves.
wall. There's the exit behind you that leads back to the chasm, and there is a concealed exit before you behind the statue that you can safely assume leads further into the temple.
And I'm just gonna gently reach over and like knock on Gwendolyn's chest twice and just be like, Memorarian, what does this familiar look like?
She responds, it took as she became more and more enamored of the root folk, it took the shape of one of us, but also not of us. It will look as though it is made of trees, but do not be fooled. It is not of this realm.
So, like, maybe the Baroness?
Trying to think how
I
much.
don't know. She was the only one who was, like, viney and shit.
The Memorarian might not know that answer, but I think that might be a relatively safe bet for us.
Fucking statue.
So this is not a tree. Seems like you've been freed from some of your enchantments about questions, but maybe not others. So I don't know what I can
Somewhat.
ask.
It's rapidly. I can feel her grasp rapidly returning. I can answer more than I could before, but not so much as to ruin the module that Tom wrote.
Oh no, I'm not looking for that. But maybe we can go with a classic question then. But if this thing is not a tree, does it have any great strength we might be able to exploit?
It says, I know little of the familiar other than that it appeared in our court and began to corrupt the minds of us. It is responsible for much of the enchantment that lays over this land.
All right then. From what I know about wizards,
like the whole body of Gwendolyn kind of shifts to look at the statue, and the Memorarian says, this one, she used to be more. Not
The Baroness.
She was more. We all were.
interesting. All right, thank you, friend. Don't push too hard against the restraints.
You
know,
hear
you
some
gotta-
wood snap inside Gwendolyn's armor.
Damn it, that was the goal, and not to have. Okay, you can be quiet now. You did great. So, from what I know about wizards, you just keep stabbing them until they die. That's all I've got. It's worked before, so could work. Otherwise, I guess we'll play to our strengths. Shall we get a closer look at anything in here, or do we just keep going? Makka, you know these people better than any of us, and Princess, you have the ability to theoretically order me to do anything that doesn't break the code.
Gwen, can you roll a history check for me, please?
Totes.
Perception. Would
Nat
be fine,
20.
Nat 20?
Yeah.
Damn, son.
Dang.
So
Well, a lot of those today.
you looking around, you're pretty familiar with kind of the being royalty. You understand kind of the religious structures of Orville. These definitely look like offerings. This looks like a spot where people would bring tribute or offerings, presumably to a deity.
I will relay that to my friends here.
That gives new meaning to the statue in the center here. Perhaps an old deity was usurped by a new one.
Or Leonia found a way to trap or manipulate the god. Well, turns out we may be saving souls as well as bodies here, friends, so I guess we should move on. I don't know if it would be really proper to loot through tributes to a fallen god. It doesn't feel right to me.
I have no such qualms.
And Makka will look around these alcoves.
Okay, again, you find maybe 50 gold collectively, but I also don't know.
That's also not important to
Yeah.
Makka, so we lose that. Yeah.
So yeah, looking around quickly, the skull is a skull. It could have had flesh on it at some point, could not have. You're not sure.
I sure hope it did.
The small, well, yes, at some point in its existence it did.
It was born a skull, and it will die a skull.
It's the Mr. Skullhead show, starring Mr. Skullhead. So you find, like, again, these all seem to be tributes that would be valuable, not necessarily financially, but things like, a vial of this kind of golden nectar is probably worth quite some.
Things that were important to the people giving them.
Yes,
so that
absolutely.
They were not just freely given. They
were proper.
They had weight.
They were sacrifices
Yeah.
in the truest sense of what that word means. But also again, ancient stuff.
All right. Makka will, after doing his lap, will return to the group and say,
I think we should press on. I have been thinking, Memorarian. I have been thinking on my connection to nature and a greater consciousness. And I find it perplexing that you are burdened with the knowledge and consciousness of many over a great period of time. This seems like something that was perhaps thrust upon you by a usurper or an interloper.
and he'll put up his hands and be like,
You need not answer. I just wish you to know that I empathize with that burden. To be closed off from everyone around you sounds truly, truly terrible.
There's a slight creak as I don't think the Memorarian can move Gwen's entire helmet, but definitely the mouth guards. It's just like a.
And with that, Makka will start heading in deeper in, or maybe he'll take a few steps and then gesture to Duncan and say,
Would you like to sneak further in, Duncan?
Yeah, I'd like to be of some kind of use. I swear, I was so capable when I was in the water with the ghost lady. Like, I did great. And then I came here and I've just been shite in the bed, so I apologize.
Do either of you believe him?
yes. Makka, I think, will even say, like,
That you are here now truly is a testament to your martial prowess.
And I just say,
Knightkin Danno.
Duncan, why are you so, like, emotional ever since you got here? Like, no offense, but you're acting kind of weird.
I don't think it's... Well, you almost died, so that's like a nightmare. And then...
Yeah, but that's happened several times, and you haven't gotten, like, all like, hugs.
Well, they weren't quite so close. If you fell, that was game over. I've seen other people like hit you with stuff, but you're in a suit of armor, so honestly, I can't really tell when you're in danger or how injured you are. You just sort of dent and then undent. But I realized there that you can die, and you snuck away, which means you could have been killed when I was not around. You haven't fled and hidden on your own. I don't know if you entirely understand that, like, I have oaths to the code, and I have oaths to the crown, and they're pretty much equal, and it's all bet in you. If you die, my whole life has no meaning. I'm fucked, and the world is fucked, and there's nothing left. You can't die. That's why, at the core of who I am, I give a shit about the things that I give a shit about. I've gone all in on this bet here. You're it. I literally will die before something bad happens to you, so if you go first, I'm dead. Then I'm just a dead man walking.
Oh, great. All right. No pressure.
So,
I am going to
shall
sneak
we?
ahead. Makka, you're doing great. And Princess, just as a thought for future people that might want to swear fealty to you in some way, when someone makes clear a death oath on the fact that they care about you, you really don't need to turn that around as something bad for you. And then he's just going to, like, ghost into the next room.
Okay, go ahead and roll a stealth check.
That is... Why can't I never find stealth? 15.
Because it's so sneaky. All right, so yeah, with that roll, you said 15 or 16?
1-5.
Great. So you make your way into the next room. You find yourself in what's kind of clearly a junction of some sort. There are 3 corridors splitting off. Again, you see the same runic language written over each entryway. Directly ahead of you, the pathway seems to kind of come to an abrupt end where there's been a collapse. So heavy amount of soil and stone and a couple of like heavy vines from above seem to have like roots have punched through. To the right, there is a dim flickering greenish glow. And to the left, you can hear the sound of what sounds like creaking stone.
All right, I think I want to ghost ahead to the right.
Towards the greenish glow?
Yeah. I want to just creep towards that one. I don't want to, like, give myself away, but that seems like... Yeah.
Cool. So you sort of quietly move up to the sort of edge of the door, and looking in, you see a sort of large rectangular room that stretches out away from you, and there are tiny alcoves that are a little bit different from the ones you were just in. They kind of almost like if you've seen like a stone fountain carved into a wall. It's that kind of deal. So there's a bunch of like little sort of stone. I don't even know what the word for these would be. But essentially like almost basins all the way along the walls, sort of on three or four levels. Let's say four levels, and staggered. So if you think about it in theater terms, these are like little tiny balconies at the opera, almost. And in the dead center of the room, there is a metal sort of lantern on a long pole, almost like a coat rack. So it's got like those little iron legs. And there's just a green orb glowing in the center of it, casting light kind of around the room. It seems very still.
Okay, I want to go back and then bring the others forward to, like, see it, kind of guiding the path so Makka won't necessarily, like, trip over anything, knowing he's, like, bigger and broader. But I have no idea what magic is, so this just looks... It could be the equivalent of a nuclear bomb, Or it could be a fancy lamp I can carry. I don't know. And touching
Yep.
it would be stupid.
Fair enough. So Makka and Gwendolyn, you're brought forward into this small enclosure.
The room, is it all stone now at this point, or is there still like earth and roots coming
This
through and
this
things like
room
that?
is all stone. It looks
Interesting.
the walls look very solid in here, thick, unadorned aside from these little like balcony pods. If you're kind of taking a slightly closer look, you actually see that there is soil packed into all of these.
Packed into the balcony.
Yeah, into the little like balcony pods.
Do you think things have been growing in these in the past?
This may be where root folk come from. Where they perhaps are grown.
Then what do you think this
do not
is?
know.
I just point to like the green glowing ball.
It may, down here, it may replicate sunlight. It may encourage verdant growth.
Yeah, Makka, go ahead and roll me a nature check, please.
Not great. Oh, that's not bad. 12.
Yep, you just needed a 10. The few remaining spores still on you, they react to this as though it's sunlight.
Yeah.
I believe the lantern does indeed provide some simulacra of sunlight. Yes.
I'd like to go closer to the lantern.
Sure. Again, it looks very old. Judging from the style of sculpture on it, probably made by the same hand who made the statue.
This appears to have been crafted by the same hands that crafted the statue. Surely a dedicated servant to someone, to a cause maybe, but someone very talented indeed. Yes.
Does the lantern appear to be removable?
No, it's kind of a you'd have to kind of carry the whole thing.
Okay.
So movable in the same way that a standing, like the fucking lamp behind me is, just if it was made of
Right,
heavy
okay.
iron.
Okay. Yeah. Makka, I think, will like put his hands up to like examine it and stuff like that, and then realize that it's like one solid unit, and then it's hefty, and just kind of be like, not worth moving. Also, it was clearly placed here with some degree of reverence, and so he'll. I know I said I didn't care about that in the last room, but fuck it, it's heavy, so I'll leave it.
Well, you can care about
and
life
I'll-
more than you care about tribute.
Yeah, and I'll walk back up
Cool.
to the group.
All right.
So
So
you examine the. Is anyone going to examine the? You don't have to, but the soil pods. Or is this something you think you would leave alone out of fear of, accidentally wiping out a civilization or some such?
Well,
I think I'm like asking Memorarian, like, what's. If I take a look here, is there anything you can tell me about what this is without going all splintery?
Yeah. She just says, I carry the burden of remembrance, but this place carries the burden of safety. This is our backup.
Ah.
if things go wrong with the forest above, you can grow a new forest down here and reclaim the land.
There is one of each of us down here.
All right, so perhaps we shouldn't disturb this.
being brought here by Duncan, was there any indication of a sturdy door or any kind of defensive or security
No.
things? No? Okay.
Interesting.
The sense you've received so far from this space is it genuinely, it doesn't, at least from what you've seen so far, it does not feel that protected, which either means there's something protecting it that you're not aware of, or that it was just literally kind of such a
hidden location.
That
once you're in, you're in.
Yeah, and the people who came here to worship, not to stir shit up. But again, you haven't explored much of the building, but so far that's what you've experienced. You also get the sense that doors aren't really a concept for the brute folk, and that may...
That's true. Yeah.
Even though this is stone architecture, it does seem to be linked to their culture in some way, shape, or form, so it does make sense that it would follow the same kind of edicts as above, but...
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'd like to ghost down the opposite hallway. If we assume that the straight on was one way and I went right or left, whichever way I went, I'll go the other.
So head towards the creaking stone. You enter into a similarly rectangular space. However, this one has a higher ceiling, and in this room there are a multitude of vines, and there's a canopy of kind of a brownish gray leaves and vines that kind of enmeshes over the ceiling, a little bit like a rainforest cafe, but like spooky. And you can see in this room there are a number of statues of root folk of different sort of sizes and shapes. It's definitely not as many as you've encountered back in sort of Haven Grove, but certainly it's kind of a representation of some of the people you've seen.
And,
does this appear to be... Oh, we're not...
Oh, no, I'd wave you in. Well, the moment I assume that there's no threat we have to ambush, it'd just be like going back to be like, yeah, come on in, guys.
Yeah. So I will say you do hear a stone creaking that seems to be kind of echoing off the walls of this room.
Did you want to investigate that before we come
No,
in?
I think I'd bring you guys if there wasn't an obvious threat, but then I would make sure that I was the first one to go through areas to like check for traps and shit, because I'd be used to that from bodyguarding duty, like checking rooms and stuff.
Okay, so you start making your way sort of through the center of the room, and as you pass the first two statues, you hear a creak. And as you turn back towards them, you can see that their kind of heads and bodies have followed you. And kind of as one, the 8 petrified statues begin to close in around you. Go ahead and roll initiative.
Oh, why?
It's a 6 for Makka.
8.
Oh, yeah, we're all doing good.
And a 9 for Duncan.
Yeah,
No kidding.
babies.
Super.
9 for Duncan, 8 for Gwendolyn, 6 for Makka.
Yeah. So 8 stone statues get to pound the shit out of us, and then we get to take our turns.
Well, Tyler, I got some very good news for you. I rolled a 3 for our pals, the
Nice.
petrified brute folk. So,
Beautiful.
in a tremendous stack of failure, they are the most failed. So, Duncan, you're up first. These petrified root folk begin to creep towards you. What do you do?
Oh, man, Duncan is just so pleased that he reloaded Mr. Bang while he was riding Bromeliad. He's just going to raise the pistol, and then I think for him, it's just like bang into the head of the closest statue on his left, and then turn and bang into the head of the closest statue on his right.
Sure.
Let's see what happens. The first one is a 10 to hit. Just rolling them bangers today.
Not hit.
So he misses the first one because he was startled when statues came to life. And then his second shot is a 22 to hit.
That one will hit. It may surprise you to know.
Wonderful. And that one does 8 piercing damage.
8 piercing damage. All right, you blast a significant chunk off of one of the closest warriors. It's still coming, but it looks pretty fucked up.
Great. And then I think what he would do is he would probably, it's like bang, bang, and then he would almost like back roll while holstering the pistol and come up with his like, they're stone, so the rapier, or like they're petrified brute folk, so rapier wouldn't be great. So he's up with 2 daggers. And he's like, hey, it's time, get over here. And his whole goal is just to get as many petrified people on him and not the princess as possible, because he has an increased sense of her mortality.
Cool. Sounds good. Speaking of the princess, Gwendolyn.
I charge the nearest stone guy, petrified guy, with a slam attack.
Cool. You going for a fresh one or the one that Ryan injured?
A fresh one.
Go for it.
He's got those. He's fine. So that is 18 to hit.
That'll hit.
Nice. So I want to know, do I get any bonuses just because I have like more weight on me than usual?
Yeah, I'll give you a plus D4 for the Memorarian.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
It can pull you into a
Jesus
lake.
Christ.
It can help you hurt a statue. Memorarian.
Well, it's nice that I got that 1d4 because on my 2d8, I rolled a 1 and a 1. 6. So that is 9. 9 bludgeoning damage.
All right. So you run up and just like full on like body slam, just like flying body slam onto one of the root folk. And you can tell like you fucked up this angle. Having the extra weight of the Memorarian it makes it just makes you a bit more unwieldy. But as you land, you feel the stone crack and give way, and you shatter the petrified root folk that you land on. You get the sense that the bludgeoning damage was particularly effective.
Oh, goodness. I really hope that these are bad guys.
Makka.
Well, that's great news about bludgeoning, because let me tell you what my mace is all about, folks. As a bonus action, I'll cast a Shillelagh, transforming my mace.
That's the sound I always make
and
when I cast that spell.
I'll take a swing at the closest one to
Sure,
me.
sounds good.
Nat 1. This feels good.
He came in so cocky.
Yeah.
You didn't get an amazing roll. So you swing it.
Ooh, there it is. Now I quit. Goodbye.
You very like you swing the shillelagh kind of as hard as you can. When all of a sudden an arm comes flying by from the shattered statue that Gwendolyn smashed and just bats your shillelagh away. So you miss the creature ahead of you's face by a little bit, and the shillelagh gets knocked from your hand and skitters away across the ground, bringing us to stone statues. Okay, so one is dead, but that's still 7. So Makka will say one's on you. Duncan Danno. Lot on you, bud. Let's see what happens. What's your AC, sir?
16.
I would like to use a reaction,
Okay.
Will of the Soul, to reduce that die roll by 1.
Okay.
And my willpower is now depleted.
Damn. I only hit with 3, so all in all, not the worst.
Yeah.
This is just them like raking you with their claws. So that is 12 points of damage. And I need you to take a con save, please, sir.
I was going to say, is that one attack or is that multiple
That was
attacks
3.
for the 12? 3? Okay.
If you want to do your magic fuck you damage dodge, one of them was 6. So
Okay. What I'll do, or yeah, do you, for 6? Yeah, I'll just have the 6. So I'll just take the 9. And what's the save you needed?
a con save.
Con save. All right, let's find out what happens. It's a 17 on the con save.
17. All right. For a moment, it's like you went to sleep without stretching. Your muscles feel incredibly tense, and it's you kind of have to kind of force through it. It's a little bit like getting over a Charlie horse. It's just super awkward. And then when you kind of look down at the wound, you see just stone flakes of skin that you kind of dust off from around the cut. But you get the sense that getting hit by these things is bad news bears. Speaking of bad news bears, Makka, what is your AC?
With my shield on, it is 19.
19. All right, so it'll hit. That's balls. You will take 3 points of damage.
Okay.
I rolled low, baby. And similarly, I need a con save from you.
That's 8.
Turtles move slow, but you find yourself moving even slower as your body slowly begins to slow and creak a bit.
Okay.
Bringing us to the top of the round with Duncan.
So Duncan's actually kind of found center here, weirdly enough. This has been a whole adventure of weird shit that falls completely outside his realm of expertise or understanding. And now he's just got a bunch of monsters attacking him. And then he's standing there with 2 daggers, and he just looks at them after he takes the slashes and brushes the other thing off. And he says, you know the nice thing about you root folk? You're not scared of fighting me. You're petrified. And then he's going to take his daggers out. And he's just going to go, and his whole thing is he's going to try to hack into, like, joints, like the neck or the arm, where he can try to, like, separate parts of them. So the first one he'll attack will be the one that he's already damaged. I'm assuming that one's fighting him.
Yep.
Great. That is a 16 to hit and another 16 to hit, actually, with the combined rolls.
Yep, barely makes it, but you're good.
Great, and that will do 10 piercing damage from combined for those.
You drive your daggers in, and you're looking for a seam, and then as you do so, you just hear like a crack that like rings through your teeth. But its whole body splits in half and falls to kind of either side of you. The arms are still kind of grasping from the ground, but in kind of dumb, awkward ways that don't hurt you anymore. It is dead.
And then I will turn, having gotten that one, and it's just like bam, bam. And then it's just swinging the full hips around to kind of slam them both, trying to like hit the side of the head of one on you know the other side of me. Dagger. That is a 15 and a 7.
15 is the number to hit, my friends. 15 is the number. You have B15.
Great, and that will do 4 piercing damage to the one on the left.
Okay.
And then what I would like to do is use a swashing point.
Oh.
To do a move called Fall Back. So it lets me use the disengage action and move my full movement as a bonus action.
Fancy.
So I am just going to essentially stab, miss, then it's like grab cape, swirl it over his whole head, and then as it goes around, he actually backflips over his cape and kind of breaks over to where Gwendolyn is, just so that he's there kind of standing with the princess, having distracted them, but realizing he could just be poisoned to death and she might be immune to poison. So tactics require not death.
Fair enough. Excellent. That brings us to Gwendolyn. Duncan very dramatically arrives by your side, having done a small amount of damage to another of the petrified root folk. What do you do?
Yeah, I look to you and say,
right.
it's just like I thought. You just have to stab them enough.
All right, well, I just yell, "Oh, slam them!" And I just like charge into the next closest thing.
I assume you're just going after fresh ones. Is that correct?
I'm just going after a fresh one here.
Great. Go for it.
14.
Sorry, we're looking for G15.
G15. No, but I still have a bonus action, so I am going to take. I'm gonna make my sword fly out of my hand, and I want to try to strike the one that Duncan weakened.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Go for it.
And that's 15.
Hey!
Huzzah!
Bingo.
All right. 2, 3, 6. Oh, and double sixes. That is 9 slashing damage. Oh, wait, sorry. I can't count. 15 slashing damage.
You throw your sword with kind of all your might, and it goes flying at the root folk, who is in the process of like leaping up into the air, and your sword just kind of catches it in the chest and just blasts through the other side, and it crumbles in on itself, and then falls to the ground. Just a pair of legs.
Yeah,
just
and
kind
behind
of
you,
slowly
you just,
moving in circles.
Behind you, you just hear Duncan. You could hear him wink somehow, and he just says, "I told you, it's about the stabbing, not the slamming." And then his daggers spin in each hand, and he's like ready for the next rude folk to come at him.
You see, Gwen, sometimes you're the mom in this relationship. All right, Makka, your shillelagh has skittered away. What do you do?
Yeah. How many more of these rude folk?
Oh,
are left?
damn. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody in the
Still
house.
A lot. And I'm
Come on,
slower
let's chat.
now.
You are beginning to petrify.
I'm beginning to petrify.
You get to roll again at the end of your turn. If you don't make it, we're going to have some problems.
Then I'm going to temporarily relieve myself of the petrification by wild shaping.
Oh, damn, son. All right.
Yeah. And I have chosen to wild shape into a constrictor snake.
Oh, baby. Yeah.
So I just, I like to imagine I'm like there for a moment. The spores start to shake, like a hand slashes through the clouds and like it just goes through nothing. And I'm coiled up on the ground where I was standing. And I'm going to attempt to constrict the root folk that was,
man,
that I was facing off with before.
Go for it, bud.
That is exactly 15.
Oh, 50. There's only so many letters in the bingo joke. Go for it.
So that is 6 plus 2, so 8 bludgeoning damage as I coil around it and start to crush it with my muscles.
Yeah, you start to sort of pull in as hard as you can, and you feel resistance at first, and then it's almost like in lurching motions. It's just like... and just as quickly as you wrapped around it, you feel it explode out from kind of between your coils as it falls to dust.
Perfect. I'd like to use my movement then to slither towards the next one.
Sure, sounds good. Brings us to the petrified root folk. 2 of them are going to swing at the constrictor that is coming towards them. It's the classic, like, oh no, there's a snake on the ground. Everybody stomp.
So my armor class now, for your FYI, is 12 as a snake.
All right, yeah. So both of those will go through.
Okay.
That is 8 points of damage.
Okay. Let's mark that down.
So that was 2 of them. There's 1 left. It's going to swing at Gwendolyn since she's kind of out in front. No dice. So it comes swinging in as you're kind of like turning to see Duncan doing his like knife dance and sassy comment. And incidentally, by turning your head at exactly that moment, you miss the swing of the root folk, which shoots past your head.
Nice.
Gently irking Duncan because you didn't have your guard up, but also delighting you because you didn't just get punched in the head. Top of the round, Duncan.
Great. So I'm seeing essentially 2 on the snake, 2 on the princess.
2 on the snake, 1 on the princess.
2 on the snake, 1 on the princess.
Everything else is dead.
Oh, good for us. All right. The snake is getting stomped, and theoretically, Duncan's logic would be the armor can't get turned to stone. He's seen it work on flesh. So I think I'm flying in over the snake, essentially. It's just like the run forward, jump. And then because they haven't shown a whole lot of tactical finesse, it's almost like he's doing the leap that you would do in like a dance number where like he spins and then his knees like clack like around their hips and it's just 2 down into the neck.
Sure,
with
the blood
daggers.
rain special.
Yeah, exactly. It's sexy fighting.
Yeah.
That is a miss and a 16, so that is a hit, which is nice. So I do... okay, that's 7 piercing damage. And then he's just straight up blood rain. And then he rocks his hips once and just goes right in again. So erotic.
That's how you end up in Playboy as a video game character, I tells you.
Yep. And that is 12, which is a miss. But then it is a dirty 20, which is a hit. And that does another... That is the 4th one in a row I have rolled on these goddamn dagger strikes for another 4 piercing damage.
So for a total of 11?
No, because the first one was also a dagger that was just 4 damage. So a total of 8.
All right, you're chipping away, but it's still standing. You get the sense it's standing with 2 HP.
Beautiful. And I would say, having done that, I kick off its chest so that I have footwork to be able to try to dodge the undoubted stomping or punching or whatever that's coming my way.
It grinds horrifically in stone, but if you could speak Stone Sylvan, you would hear, "At least buy me dinner first." And then, that brings us to...
For me, all I hear is toodaloo.
Yeah, but made of like a fucking stone tumbler. Gwendolyn. So Duncan is sexy fighting one of them. One is still trying to stomp on Makka, and then you've got one up in your grill.
I'll take the one up in my grill. And I'm still convinced that slamming is the way to go. So, nat 20 to hit.
Here we go. Now you're going to show him something.
Welcome
So
to
I just-
the jam.
I roll twice, right?
Twice for
With
damage,
my-
yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is a dirty combo for something that's vulnerable to bludgeoning.
Plus 3.
Carry the 5.
20 total.
All right, well, in celebration of your 20, both to hit and to kill, you chest bump the first one, and in slow motion, vaguely Zack Snyder style, as you chest bump it, it kind of falls backward, arms flailing, shatter exploding, into the one Duncan was just fighting, and the two of them shatter and collapse together.
Cool. And then I'll use my bonus action to make my sword fly at the final remaining one.
Great.
Yeah, and that's exactly when I turn back to look at you, and I'm like, great job. And I see the sword in your hand, and I'm like, I told you the sword's the way. And then I
Sword
turn
is in
back
the
to
air.
fight the last one.
Yeah, you just watch
Sword
the
is
sword
still in
go.
the air, Ryan.
Yeah, but I still pointed it, and I'm like, it did it. Great sword.
Go ahead with the sword.
Whatever. 23 to hit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck.
3, 5. 11 damage. 11 slashing damage.
The sword goes flying at the final one, trying to stomp the constrictor. Makka, you start to wrap up its leg, and it sort of stumbles forward. And Gwendolyn, to your horror, because it stumbles forward, the blade doesn't go at it; it's the pommel. And the pommel just cracks across the face, and the petrified root folk's head explodes in a shower of dust. As the creature kind of crumbles in towards itself, the room kind of falls silent as the remaining body parts kind of writhe their last. And Makka, you can kind of feel... that the sort of throbbing slowness that was slowly affecting you seems to have dissipated in your non-snake form.
Okay, so whatever force was causing me to be petrified ended when they were no longer
That is correct.
able to fight. Okay. Then I guess now's as good a time as any to revert back out of snake form. And Makka rises up from the ground, just kind of ambles back up onto his 2 feet after laying on his belly.
Yeah, I think Duncan, who's a little winded, is just like, okay, so I don't like this room as much as I like the one with the sun in it. But what the hell is in here that was worth protecting this intensely? We've got to take a look around. And I want to just like start looking around and try to figure out why they would put a bunch of statues in a room to protect.
There's
nothing?
there is an exit at the far end of the room that seems to lead deeper into the temple. So you get the sense that it's not so much this room that needs protecting as what lays beyond.
Well, Makka, this would explain why they didn't need doors. They've got petrified root folk that'll kill you.
Yes, a role I had not expected the root folk to take. Perhaps this petrification was bestowed on them unwillingly to protect what is in that next room. Given what we know about them on the surface, none would willingly be petrified, I don't think.
Maybe these were sent here by whatever the problem is, or maybe this was some kind of punishment for criminals.
Perhaps we will find out more in the next room.
So you make your way cautiously sort of out of the northern exit. It's a passageway that kind of curves around, meeting back up with the central passage that had collapsed. Beyond the central passage, you can see a flight of stairs leading down, and you can feel a bit of a cold breeze. But on it, you smell sort of the verdant smells of the forest, despite knowing that you're deep underground.
We're all going together. Is Duncan going further ahead, or are we all going to go in together?
I think Duncan will ghost ahead, but he won't enter the room. He'll just look into it. He kind of learned his lesson from statues coming to life to not get close to things if he doesn't have to.
So, Duncan, you head further underground, and you kind of reach the bottom of the stairs. There's a small landing, and then it opens up into a massive chamber. Before you see 6 massive, ancient, old-growth trees. So we're talking those, like, huge, like, trunk...
Like red oaks kind of thing?
Yeah, like if you're wandering around, like, Vancouver, or the rainforest, like, we're talking, like, massive fucking trees. Like, several humans holding hands to surround it kind of trees. Each one seems to be of a different genus, and all of them sort of stretch out. You can see that they seem to grow up from this room into the earth above you. But even though this is an enclosed chamber, seemingly, it does feel alive. It feels like you're outside. There's a breeze that you realize is circulating without exiting. And in the center of the room, amidst these trees, you can see a pond that looks awfully familiar.
Duncan just like exhales silently to himself, kind of exhausted, and like turns and creeps back up the stairs to like essentially, rather than just inviting them down, be like, okay, last time we sort of got ambushed because we didn't talk about it. There are 6 different species of tree down there that are huge, but at the middle of them is a pond that looks like a little too familiar for comfort. What are we going to do?
Memorarium. What is this room up ahead? These 6 massive trees. They were protected. Why?
This is the root of all of our folk.
And the pond. It was always there, yes?
Yes, she found ways to mirror it. It's how they used to come visit us before the Coven, before Crecade.
Then we must go in there, pull her out, and kill her once and for all.
You can hear the memorarian start to like crack and groan inside the armor, and she just mutters as she kind of like gives way to kind of a deep scream of agony. She just manages to say, "But first you must stop the familiar." And then Gwendolyn, you feel kind of like someone dumped out a bunch of firewood. There's just a tumbling inside you of cracking and shifting as the memorarian seems to be broken and rebuilt.
I just kind of, I tap on my chest. And, you okay in there?
Okay, I think let's just make a rule that we can't ask the memorarian any more questions, because we are going to kill her
All right.
today. It's going to be bad.
Destroy the familiar. This we know.
All right, so if the familiar is not in the pond, there was another path we didn't take. Do we
It was
go back?
caved in.
Yeah, you found the way that links through. So the familiar is presumably somewhere in this room.
All right, then.
Perhaps there were only 5 great trees before.
Or it's behind one of them. I didn't enter. Like, I just looked. So if we want to go about this tactically, Makka, do you want to take point?
Yes.
Princess, what you want to do?
You hear a sing-song voice on the wind that drifts up the stairs, and it just says, "We needn't be enemies, must we?"
And we can all understand.
Yep.
Well, then let's be friends.
No.
Wouldn't that be excellent? I ask so little in return, and it can offer you so much. You seek a way out, don't you? I'd be happy to assist.
And you look over at Duncan, and he's just quietly reloading Mr. Bang. It is clicking him shut really sneakily.
Yeah,
holstering it.
Makka casts Shillelagh like right now, like preemptively, like he has made up his mind.
So, friends, shall we go have a conversation with familiar?
Yeah, let's talk about how we can be friends.
Yes, I see now. Yes.
And Makka will like knowingly look to these two and start walking down the steps into this chamber.
And with that, you draw your weapons and set forth for friendship.
Hi, I'm Ryan LaPlante, and I'm one of the crazy founders of Dumb Dumbs and Dice, the production company that's made the video you're watching or the podcast you're listening to right now. Now, we're clearly busy. We're producing 5 weekly podcasts, a 6th event podcast, video event one-shots, and an additional video D&D campaign. But we want to take this time to invite you to become a part of our company and a part of our Patreon at patreon.com/dumbdumbdice. You can get access to our Discord, access to exclusive DM and character chats. You can get the chance to name characters in our shows and vote on the way their stories will progress. You can even become a recurring NPC and hear yourself interacting with our characters each week through the voice of Tom. You can become a patron for as little as $1, and there's great value for you at even that level. So please, join the Dumb Dumbs and Dice family and help us make even more content in a way that you are guaranteed to love. That's patreon.com/dumbdumbdice. DUMBDICE. So let's do something dumb together, and thanks for being part of our stories.
Roll for initiative.
11 for Makka.
16 for Gwendolyn.
22 for Duncan.
Good rolls when it counts, baby.
Sick. Okay. So top of the round, Duncan. The familiar is nowhere to be seen, but you know it's in this room somewhere. You know also logically there must be an exit from this room, given that the only way to the Shadowlands is to move beyond it. But currently the room seems as though it's a fully enclosed space. What do you do?
Alrighty. This is I don't know if this is possible, but what I would actually like to do is just hold my movement and action to allow Gwendolyn to try to make this appear like a conversation. And then the moment the familiar appears, I would like to attack it.
Okay. So you're holding action, Gwendolyn.
I'll just walk out. Like I still got my sword, but it's kind of like I have it jauntily kind of like set on my shoulder. So it's like friendly. And I just say, so how do you propose we become friends?
The voice seems to be all around you, and it just says, oh, it's quite simple, actually. I just require you to lend my mistress... Sorry, sneezer flies everywhere in here.
I was going to say, 3 butterflies fly out and then go away again.
It says, I just require you to lend my mistress that body of yours. It seems to be so capable.
What do you mean lend?
Well, I mean, surely as an enchanted suit of armor, you'll exist forever. So, just allow my mistress some use.
But that's not really how it works.
Well,
I mean, my soul's bound to it.
that's a shame.
Yeah, she can't have it. There must be another way we can become friends.
You can slay, I believe they're calling her the Baroness.
All right. Why'd I have to slay her? Is she bad?
I don't have to explain this favor to you. You're asking how you can prove that you're truly open to friendship.
Yeah, but friendship starts with trust.
Gwendolyn, make a dexterity save, please.
Great. 10.
A vine punches through your shoulder, causing 6 points of damage and driving you to your knees. Duncan, you can choose to take your action now. It is just literally like a vine has shot out of one of these trees.
I just want to say I do yell. It's like, well, now I can't trust you. We'll never be friends.
I think it's like the rapier's out and just sever the vine. Like, I just want to try to chop it.
Yeah, that's easy enough. The vine kind of snaps off. As soon as you slice through it, it falls limp, as though it's no longer being controlled. Can you roll me a perception check, please?
That's a very bad roll. That is a 6. I see the vine hit the ground.
It is inert now. That's interesting. Cool. Gwendolyn, we're going to say that was your turn with all the chatting. Brings us to the familiar. So... Let's see. One moment, please. Okay. Gwendolyn and Duncan, can you please roll me a strength save? The tree begins to undulate, and kind of in a vaguely poison ivy-y way, a sort of humanoid figure emerges, but kind of at the center of the tree, out of its center mass. And she looks to your eye as a dryad, so kind of a humanoid creature, sort of made of like weirdly organic wood, and very sharp features, vaguely elven, so pointed ears, kind of like a slightly bemused expression. And as she kind of emerges from the tree, vines begin to whip up around you, Gwendolyn, and you, Duncan, from the ground and start trying to restrain you.
17 for Duncan.
Gwen?
6.
6? All right. So, Gwendolyn, you are restrained.
Okay.
As the vines spread up around you. So, waka. Your speed becomes 0, and attack rolls against you have advantage. Your attack rolls have disadvantage, and you have disadvantage on dex throws. At the end of your next turn, you can roll a strength to break out.
Okay.
Cool. Duncan, you're able to slide away, but the ground becomes increasingly difficult terrain as the vines kind of sprout up around it.
Interesting fact, I'm sure-footed, so movement penalties
hey.
from difficult terrain are cut in half.
Excellent. I need to blow my nose, so I'm going to grab Kleenex. Figure out your next move. Caesar fly. So as she's doing that, Makka, you'll be up next. So she causes the vines to kind of entangle. She's still kind of emerging from this tree. That brings us
One
to
of
you.
the 6? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so for ease of reference, think of them almost as like 6 columns on either side. We'll count them down. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So technically she's coming out of 3.
So I will, I'll cast Fairy Fire, centering on where the Dryad is. So she needs to make a dex save. She needs to beat a 15.
Ooh, I don't know if that's going to do it for her. Sorry, how much?
15, 1-5.
Yep, no dice. I got
Okay.
13.
So you more martial characters now have advantage on attacks against her, as long as I can maintain my concentration.
Nice.
Basically, I extend my hand, spores float out, and then just poof, and like a big kind of explosion. Harmless, but everything is glowing with bioluminescence within a 20-foot cube. Then I centered it on her, so she's covered in it.
Cool.
So everyone's glowing in the dim light here. She's much easier to see, and she's easier for you to hit.
Very, very cool.
And that will be my action. For
Excellent.
movement, I think I'll just stay put.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No sense in rushing in. Speaking of rushing in, top of the round, Duncan.
Yeah, I think Duncan just looks at this now like fairy-fired covered dryad and just goes, "You look really familiar to Mr. Bang." And he pulls the gun out, and then it just like unloads 2 shots into the dryad. So let's see what happens. The worst roll in the world for the first shot with advantage, a 10.
No dice.
Second one, there we go. 22 to hit.
That'll hit. Yep, that'll do.
Great. That does 9 piercing damage.
Not bad.
And then I think I will just sprint forwards, basically. And I would like to almost like run forwards and just throw a knee and a cape swirl. There's no intention of actually doing damage with these. I just want to get close and personal and distract so that if somebody else comes in, they might have advantage.
Okay. Okay.
So there's no actual attack. It's just flavor to move into.
Gotcha. Yeah, yep. I'm with you.
Try to get past me and I get stabby.
All right, Gwendolyn.
Not much I can do right now. So is my sword restrained as well?
Yeah, your hand with the hilt is like, you had it jauntily over your shoulder, so it's kind of
Yeah.
like pulled in tight to you.
Oh, fucking hell.
You can also just take your turn to try and break out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do that.
That's fair. So
Yeah.
go ahead and roll a strength save, please.
Okay. 21.
With your rage and frustration against being restrained, you just kind of like start seesawing back and forth, and like the blade is bound to you, but you can use it to kind of like scritch your way out.
Nice.
Enough vines break that you kind of stumble forth from it and kind of like stagger into the difficult terrain. But you're
Excellent.
now all free. Bring us to the familiar. So she's feeling pretty exposed, what with all this magic green powder on her. So with kind of a hiss that reveals razor sharp teeth, she kind of like falls backward, like she's falling backward into a pool, but into the tree. And as it envelops her, you notice just kind of like bits of the bioluminescence seemingly within the tree itself. And then you see that same bioluminescence sort of fade off the tree and fade in on tree number 4 at the far end of the room.
Opposite corner, too. Okay.
Yep.
What? How far is that approximately if we're measuring distance?
We'll say 90 feet.
90, okay.
Ooh.
Fair bit of distance there, okay.
And that will be it for her. Makka.
Yes. I got one concentration on the go that I don't want to lose. Let's see how far I can cast Chill Touch. Chill Touch range 120 feet.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna cast
That
Chill
is
Touch.
the voice of Makka's conscience is just
a happy Italian chef.
Yeah. So I'll cast Chill Touch, and because I'm 5th level, I'm gonna do a little extra damage if I manage to hit her.
Okay, sounds good.
Spell attack? Yes, on a hit. Okay. So that's 5 plus 7, 12? 12 to hit?
Fortunately, will not hit.
But
I was gonna
That's
say,
okay.
does advantage count towards that if you've got the concentration?
I have to check my other spell, but I think attacks? Sorry, guys. I'm still not used to juggling so many spells.
No,
It's
it's all
okay.
good, bud.
This is the joy of leveling up. We all learn things about spells.
Any
I
attack
mean, really,
roll.
you've had
So it's
so
an
much
attack
time
roll.
between
Okay.
levels, for all the sessions we play when you're still 1 level.
It would confer advantage. Thank you, Ryan.
No problem.
That's a much better roll. So
He's
that's
got a
gonna
vested
be,
interest in this, too.
That's going to be 22 to
altruistic.
hit.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so that's now 2d8 necrotic damage. Where are my d8s at? There we go. That's a total of 8 necrotic damage.
All right, 8 damage. Not bad, not bad.
And since it's working, no need to go trudging into that difficult terrain. I'm gonna stay put.
Okay. Top of the round, Duncan.
So, Tom, normally I can only shoot my pistol once per fight, but what if I just take my action to reload the pistol? Would that be permissible?
Yeah, if you take your entire turn to reload, I'll allow it.
Yep. No action, no movement. I'm just going to reload.
Okay.
Because I don't trust myself to stab through a tree to hit a dryad. That seems like a bad move.
That's fair. Okay, so you're reloading. Gwen.
bloody hell, she's so far away. 90 feet, you say?
I do, yes.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm going to kind of run up. I'm going to run my full 30 feet into the middle, like not like jumping into the pool or anything, but kind of around it, to the same side that she's on. And I will make my blade hover.
Just as you're mathing this out, Laura, I will
Yeah.
warn you that you're in difficult terrain due to the entanglement.
Oh, right. So I move 15 feet. Is that what it is?
Until
Yeah.
you're clear, yep. So you can get out of the difficult terrain with one move.
Okay. So I'll do that. And then I'll fly my sword forward 50 feet in the direction of her.
Okay, yep. So the sword kind of like tracks across the space. Can you roll me a dexterity save, please?
12.
As the sword flies across the pond, a desiccated arm shoots up and
Fucking
grabs it,
fucking arms.
dragging it beneath the surface. It's a reverse lady in the lake.
No! That's what I got.
It's effective.
I say Duncan stays in the scene, but Ryan's looking around for Ray Romano.
Deborah!
No!
Stop.
Deborah! The desiccated arm has my sword!
Raymond, I may not know too much about swords, but that seems like a bad place for it to be. It's me, Brad Garrett. I'll never work again.
Oh, I like him.
Me too, but where is he?
Doing an incredibly unfortunate stand-up is the real answer.
Yes.
Lending his voice to memorable characters like good old, what's his name, and another fella.
Oh yeah, who's it? I love
What's his name and character they paid scale for?
All right, so that brings us to her. She is going to step out of the tree and just kind of like tense her entire body, and spikes just shoot out of her sort of her chest and her shoulders and her arms. She looks a little bit more hearty. And then she's going to run to, if she was at 3, she's going to run to, she was at 4, she's going to run to 5.
Okay.
Keeping the tree like very clearly between her and all of you.
Oh, so she's just like hiding behind the tree. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. You get the sense she's super mobile, but also kind of close combat-y.
Can't wait.
Makka, go ahead.
Okay. I think it's she's out of line of sight now. I can't see her.
That is correct.
And are these trees right up against the wall of the chamber?
No, they're a ways out, so there's
Okay.
space around them. Yeah, if you get it, if we were doing this architecturally, if you're building these as columns, it would be like, these are the things that you're here to see.
Right.
So they're, out from the walls on all
So
sides.
that everyone can see
in
them
a
all
row.
around.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to break right immediately to get behind this row of columns and see if I can spot her to cast another chill touch.
Yeah, you can definitely do that.
Excellent. So I just cast my hand out, and a ghostly skeletal hand rises up out of the ground under her, tries to grab at her. It's a nat 1 on the first roll.
Fuck.
Better. That's a 19 plus 7. 26.
That'll do.
So that's 2d8.
Ha! We can use fucking skeletal hands too. Fuck, I hate this.
3 and
person.
10 necrotic damage.
All right.
And yeah, I see her as like, I got you, and I put up my shield ready.
Awesome. Top of the round, Duncan.
Okay. I can't see her. I'm trying to figure out where we are relative to the room. Because I'm imagining if I'm by 3.
So currently, you guys at the south end of the room, you are
Yep.
between 3 and 6.
Yes.
If you ever need a really, I don't know if like my d6s are numeric, but if you look at a 6-sided dice,
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to figure out where she's hiding in 5. Is she over by the wall? Because I'm like over in front of 3.
I've read it as she's between the tree and the wall because
Between the
you're
tree
in
and
the
the
open
wall. That is correct.
space.
Great. Okay, then what I want to do actually is I'll just circle around behind 2, so between 2 and the wall, but I'm peeking out with the pistol raised. Like I'm just waiting for her to essentially break cover.
So
Yeah, perfect.
Yep,
So
great.
imagine me there, and essentially like I'm on Overwatch,
Gotcha.
just waiting for like her to break cover, and then I'll fire. And let's just say for flavor and logic, because firing 2 shots with a pistol that only shot 1 doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. Let's say some of Duncan's misspent I'm not sleeping well nights, knowing that his rapier might not be the best thing against trees, he actually spent some time using some of his maintenance parts and it's now a 2-barrel pistol. So
Sure.
it's just 2 shots at once, and we'll see what hits. Because otherwise, it's like a speed flintlock, and that's super weird as an upgrade. Whereas 2 barrels, I can picture that. Crack it open, load it, shoot. So that's what's up and aimed.
Cool.
I also just want to add, because she's a plant-based creature, I just want to make sure there's no like regrowth going on. One of the effects of chill touch and taking, well, no, it's specifically in the text for chill touch, but she can't heal until my next turn. Every time I do damage with chill touch.
Cool. You get the sense
Nice.
the spikes are more for hurting folks than saving
I
her,
thought as
but-
much, but I just wanted to make
Thank
sure
you.
it
No,
didn't
I
have
appreciate
anything
that.
else.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Because the odds of me not knowing something like that, be like, surprise, motherfuckers, she regrows because plants.
It's like, no, she doesn't.
Like you do that. Like for some reason, Ryan and my glasses go up as well. Glasses just hit Tyler in the face.
It just flies off scale. Oh my god, there's a gag I want to do in a short film at some point.
Okay, excellent. This is the wrong initiative order because I threw all my papers away to draw a diagram. Gwendolyn.
Yo. All right. Well, I want to try to pull my sword out from the grip of the stupid fucky persons in the water. So I'm kind of like making it kind of do a little figure 80 back and forth, like get off with the sword handle.
I rolled very high, so the
No.
sword comes up and you just see like an admittedly like shredded face, and she's like putting pieces of her face back together as she gets pulled up out of the water, and then she like shakes her fist at Duncan and like grabs both hands and pulls it back down underwater.
Okay, then is she kind of near the surface of the water?
She was a moment ago.
Oh, because I'd really like to run up to the water and then do like a belly flop slam attack on her.
Go for it.
Yes.
She might be too deep, but there's only one way to find out.
We'll see. I mean, I'm not like hitting the water and floating like a normal person.
Yeah, I mean, if you just remember what the memorarian said is kill the familiar to kill her. But I mean, you've already dived into water, so just go for it.
Dirty 20.
All right, you sure hit that water. With
The water slammed.
Oh man, water's hella slammed.
In this case, it's a sink attack.
Yeah, if this was on America's Funniest Home Videos or some such, everyone would be like, "Ooh, I bet her belly really hurts." Yeah, you begin to sink into the depths. The deeper,
Can I see my sword?
yeah, and the deeper it goes, the more the kind of like destroyed corpse begins to glow.
Oh God, no! We're playing into their hand.
Except that it's like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Hallows. And the glowy thing is a Horcrux, and I take it out and I stab it with my sword, and we win.
Oh, okay.
Great.
Oh,
yeah.
so if you're the DM, that works. But
Yeah, Laura wrote this one. Everybody.
it's like she bought the module and read how to win.
Yeah, it's like
DM
just
in my
Pierce
life.
Hawthorne being like, "Listen, I've got the books." Also, Laura, everyone says that. That's famous last words. I said that once too. Here we are. All right, so cool.
Yep.
I got a roll for her now. That wasn't okay. All right, interesting. Okay.
Boy.
So, the familiar, she sees you, Makka, rapidly attacking her. So she's gonna sprint at you, and it's that weird like I mostly see it in what's the team that makes like Ninja Gaiden and those sorts of games where it's just like the super fast like.
It's Team Ninja.
Team Ninja, yeah. Fuck me. It's Team Ninja speed. Like this is some weird Bayonetta shit where she's like running up along the wall, and then she just like pounces at you, and it's actually like feet out, and you can see she's kind of got like taloned feet, and she's kind of going in for like a double kick and a swipe
Say,
with the.
Tom, as she runs between trees, I'm imagining I get a shot at her on the wall.
No, sir, because your action wasn't priming just to shoot anything that came out? Like, you moved into position, but was your intention to prime a shot in case she ever moves?
Yeah, I wanted to be on
You hit
Overwatch,
delayed
so I was
action.
ready to plug her if she like came out.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll allow it. I need a bit more specificity on that because terms like Overwatch are pretty broad. Just so that in my brain I know what's triggered and what's not.
Yes.
But yeah, go ahead. Take an attack of opportunity, I guess. Yeah, go for it.
Cool. All right, that is a nat 20 on the first shot and
Nice.
a 24 on the second shot.
Nice.
Cool. Both hit.
All right. That is...
Sorry, I missed. Where is she now?
Running along the wall between 5 and 6.
5 and 6. Okay, thank
That's
you.
27 damage between the two shots.
Damn, not bad.
Just piercing.
So yeah, you blow a chunk of spike off her shoulder as she runs, and then she leaps, sort of claws out, and begins to furiously claw at Makka. Makka, what's your AC right now, bud?
19.
19.
Very cool. Really wish it wasn't happening to me, but it's very cool.
Fair enough.
The wall running, cool raptor talon kicks. I mean, I'm all for it. Just not me.
All
my
right,
body.
so 2 of the 3 hit,
Oof.
and that is... One moment, please. So the first one hits for 8. Second one hits for 16.
Those
Oh,
are
blarg.
beefy hits. Makka's hanging in there, but
Say, check that concentration.
good.
Does the dryad
that's
still
the
glow?
next thing. Yeah. So I need a refresher on concentration. Laura, can you help me out here? Is it beat 10
you
or
have
the damage, whichever's higher?
I believe that is it, but
Fuck,
not
I
a
can't
100 PP on
remember.
that.
So I gotta roll concentration, which is a Constitution save, and I gotta beat 16. I do not, so the glow dissipates.
Yeah, as your blood flies into her face, the glow slowly dissipates. You can see Tyler as she's like attacking you. The dryad look is starting to fall away a bit. The features are becoming almost more lupine. Like the sort of elven, fine, thin elven nose is growing a bit more angular. Her eyes, like the pupils have shifted, the ears have become sharper, and the sort of more demonic elements of the familiar are becoming very, very visually apparent as she continues to rain blows down upon you.
For
That brings-
future reference, concentration, it's a DC of save a D of a 10 or half the damage, whichever's higher, just so we know
half.
for future.
I still would have failed.
No,
I
there you
rolled
go.
very low.
Yeah. That brings us to Makka. She's looking
Okay.
pretty rough.
Yeah,
Scary.
I'm looking really rough,
but
too. Okay then. I guess what have I got here? Yeah, all right. I'll take a swing with my shillelagh,
Sure.
and I just close the window. There we go. Let's back up. Okay, so +7 to hit. That's not going to be good. Total of 10.
10. No dice, I'm afraid.
Okay. That's that then.
Good. All right, fair enough.
We're just there toe to toe.
We cut to the pond as Gwendolyn, you kind of drift lower and lower, and all of a sudden the bluish glow grows much, much stronger, and you see her as she was in your dream, as she kind of begins to drift up to meet you. You see the glint of mirror shards all around her, and then her hair begins to wrap around the back of your head and drag you toward her as she continues to smile and says, even though you're underwater, you can hear her voice echoing in your head, just saying, "Less beautiful, but you'll do for mobility's sake." And you feel your whole body being pulled towards her. As you do, Gwendolyn, you begin to feel as though you're lagging behind a little bit. Mm-hmm. Your vision begins to blur, and you actually see the armor in front of you for a moment.
No.
Top of the round, Duncan.
All right, I've seen the dryad run along the wall towards Makka. Can I make it around from my space to like attack the dryad from behind, from where they are?
Yep.
Great. Then yeah, that's my plan. Duncan, it's just like rapier out, sprinting across the room with his cape billowing behind him, because in his snap decision, he was like, I might be able to save the princess, but if she's super fucked up, only Makka can keep her alive. So keeping Makka alive is keeping the princess alive.
Yep, I dig it.
So he like comes around the corner and is just like in like full fencing mode, but attacking the dryad. So if I'm attacking from behind, would that be advantage, Tom?
Yep, definitely.
Dope. And then as I see the dryad is sort of turned into a demon, just as he's attacking, he just says to himself like, "Oh, come on. I had like 2 good tree jokes." And he'll just go for like a kind of like a stab down in the shoulder.
Yep.
And then a slash, I would say, across like the back of the legs kind of thing.
So we're talking like a Brad Pitt Troy special, and then
the
slash
bow
the hammies.
agrius. Yeah, just thump, thump, would be delightful if it works. That is a 15 to hit.
That will not hit.
And a 19 to hit.
So you come in over the top. The blade sort of skitters off the shoulder, but as it comes down, you just take the palm of your hand, just mash it into the blade, so you slice down across the back.
Great.
Go ahead and roll your damage.
That is 4 damage because I rolled another 1 on a friggin' damage dice. I think he's just distracted because he had so many plans for fighting a tree person, and now it's like a weird half demon fuzzy tree thing, and I don't know where the organs are on this.
All right. That brings us to Gwendolyn. Can you roll me a will save, please?
Yeah.
Wisdom? Fuck me, I did it. I did it again.
6.
You begin to drift. You suddenly feel lighter, but looking down, you can't see hands or feet.
Shit.
But you can see the armor of Solaris slowly being enwrapped in a glowing blue light.
Is there anything... What else is in the water? Anything?
So the walls are kind of like rocky weirdness. Last time you were down here, you dug up a bunch of old mirrors.
Yeah.
Beyond that, there's not a whole lot down here.
Okay. Then I will... I want to move towards my body and see if I can get back into it.
Okay. What's your draw to get back? Like, how do you, kind of knowing that this is purely a battle of wits at this point, what connection do you evoke to kind of like reconnect with the armor?
I think it's like, it's just like, this is my, like, ancestry. This is like, I've been fucking like bound with blood to this thing.
Okay, all right.
I have a fucking greater purpose and need this stupid fucking body to do it.
Amazing. The rage is a good way to pull.
I was gonna say spite and narcissism.
Go ahead and roll me a con save, please.
Rolling like shit now, 9.
So you begin to drag yourself towards it. You have a moment of almost double vision where you're back in the armor, and then it blurs. You feel like you just didn't roll high enough.
Oh, fuck this. All right, I want to use the rest of my movement to fly up and out of the water. So
With
I
what?
can at least... With my fly speed.
You have
because
no fly
I have
speed.
soul escape.
Oh shit!
Okay, Laura, for those of us who don't know what you're talking about, which is clearly me and Tyler, what the fuck is soul escape?
So I can actually now detach my soul from the body I'm bound to for up to 10 minutes. And I can, like, as a disembodied, like, soul, like, fly around. And I can attempt to possess things as well. But they have to have, like, a challenge rating right now of, like, 3 or less. So I'm going to say I probably can't possess the familiar.
You are correct, madam.
Maybe you can grab a butterfly.
Well,
No, I was thinking, like,
so,
is there a
what do
butterfly
you
around?
what do you look like in soul form then?
I think just kind of like a
Is it like a will-o'-the-wisp thing, where you're just kind of like a bluish light or like a white light?
yes,
Or
except that it's like has a kind of like a coppery shimmer to it.
Oh, okay, cool, great.
Can we
Yeah.
see you? Like as Duncan and or Makka?
That's funny. It actually doesn't give that.
Maybe it's up to you.
Wait,
in
a
terms of
homebrew
flavor.
character that
Should we
bought
say
on DM's Guild doesn't have complete rules attached?
my guess would be no, because we can't see souls unless I don't know, Tom, up to you, but my guess would be no.
Yeah, is up to you.
Because you can't see astral projection or any of the other bodies that are floating around in D&D, right?
Yeah, I'd be inclined to say you can't. I mean, there's some fun in I think, Laura, what
can
I'll
see
say
ghosts,
is
though.
if people are actively trying to see you, then you'll need to roll stealth checks, only because I want to avoid a situation where you can just, like, if you're in a room full of armor suits, you just possess each of them one by one, and everyone's like, oh, ghost! I think it's important that we leave the loophole that if people are actively trying to seek it, they can, like, spot you, but it's that classic, like, out of the corner of your eye thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
so
I'll say
ghost
that-
hunters can find you.
Yes, exactly. They'll use their EKG meters or whatever the fuck. That said, because Duncan and Makka have no fucking clue this is possible, neither I think did you until this just happened in canon, they are not looking for that. So yes, you fly up and
Cool.
out of the water.
I'm like, oh shit, I'm flying.
Yep. It was just like an instinct to get out, and now
Yeah.
you're out. Okay, wicked. I didn't know you had that. That's wild.
I was waiting. I was waiting on that one.
Cool. Well, I'm glad it sunk up with an entirely different narrative thing that happened. It works quite nicely. Okay, wicked. That brings us to the familiar. Now trapped between the two of you, she snarls in Infernal and then leaps into the tree. You can both take an attack of opportunity as she does this.
That's a 25 to hit for Duncan.
Nat 1 for Makka.
Cool. Duncan, go ahead and roll your damage, please.
Yeah, we both know I'm stabbing the dryad and he's stabbing me. There's only one way this works out. We'll see, though. I'm curious. All right. That does 8 piercing damage.
Okay. Makka, when you swung your shillelagh, she kind of grabbed you in an arm block. So then she boots off the wall backward into the tree. As Duncan sort of just extends forward, it's just a perfect lunge. He manages to just drive his sword directly through the familiar's chest. As it falls sort of into the tree. Unfortunately, in doing so, it brings your arm with it. And as it dies, across the room, stumbling out of tree number 2, is the corpse of the familiar and your forearm.
Cool. Super good.
Oh no! Was that me? I didn't mean to do that. Are you okay? Shite.
Makka doesn't scream, but he's also not speaking.
Is it like spurting blood? Like what does it look like when an old spore man loses a limb?
Well, because basically what happened is she was the one who could kind of the ability's called tree stride. So she was dying as she tree strode. So essentially, if you think of it in portal terms, she's able to open portals between trees, but she was dying as she fell through the portal. So it just snapped shut. So basically, yeah, it's like spraying. Like there's no, it's not cauterized. This isn't a lightsaber situation.
Yeah.
It is full on like arm is over there.
Do we stick it back on? What do your magic do? Grow a new arm. Grow a new arm. I just yell at him right in his face.
It's just Makka's free hand over the stump, just clutching. He's like doubled over in pain. And then I think through gritted teeth, he just says,
The princess.
Luckily, to your relief, Gwendolyn climbs out of the pool. And kind of throwing her sword over her shoulder, begins to walk very, like in a strangely dainty way towards you. Can both of you roll me a perception
Does
check?
Memorarian have any sense of what's happened?
You know that thing that prevented the Memorarian from talking or telling people things?
Right.
let me just have a quick look at what Lesser Restoration does, because I'm pretty sure it's not going to grow a hand back, but maybe it'll close a stump.
It will not grow a hand back. It also doesn't do stumps. It just removes poison and other lesser effects.
Oh, okay. All right.
It
so
could
then
fix you if you were blinded.
Ryan has tried to use that in so many ways.
I think I regrew a penis with it once, but that was in another show and only for comedy reasons.
So Gwendolyn starts walking kind of jauntily over towards you. And then suddenly you see the armor twitch and kind of shake and start to rattle. She just kind of turns full body. And from inside it, you hear, "Oh, sorry, honey. I think your familiar's dead." And Gwendolyn just kind of, like, the leg falls off, and the armor collapses to the side, and it just starts screaming incomprehensibly in an ancient tongue unfamiliar to your ears.
And I'm just going to be yelling the word shite over and over again as I sprint to the armor. And like, Makka, you got to go over here. And I'm like trying to scoop up loose pieces of armor and like carry like the head and the chest plate back to Makka to heal.
Actual Gwendolyn, what are you doing?
Well, I'm still soulbound to my sword. Mm-hmm. So can I still make my sword move?
Sure.
Okay. So, and my sword's still underwater, yes?
She's got it over her shoulder.
She's got it.
But she's also having a difficult time holding on to anything and or herself. So Duncan's rushing to go pick up all the pieces. The Memorarian is still kind of in the torso. So like, it's like head, body, and like the arms are kind of fine. The legs are starting to fall apart.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I would like to, if I could, kind of will the sword like out of her hand, like slip out of her hand, and then kind of make like stabbing motions around her head.
Okay, like stabbing into the head or just stabbing near the head?
No. It's just stabbing, around it. Because I don't actually want to like fucking damage my body or kill Memorarian.
Okay, Ryan, roll a perception check, please.
That is a 12.
Okay, you don't know what the fuck the pointy sword business is, but it's also different, and that's kind of enough to be worried. But you're also aware that, so a bunch of weird things seem to be happening, but you're also pretty sure that body's still at the bottom of the pond.
Yeah, I like slow down before I get to it, and I've got the sword out, and I'm like, what percent should you be worried people are gonna kill you at? Because this is triggering. That's not the princess. She'd say the number just to piss me off. Get out of her. I say.
You hear the Memorarian say, "Now." The gauntlet now! Roll an insight check.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to do that. 18.
From what you've been able to piece together of the familiar, its powers seem to be augmenting hers. So she was able to regrow a face when the familiar was alive. You're not real sure if she's able to regrow a face now.
Ah, so she's possessed this armor, but she has a busted ass face inside the lake. Duncan is like, I hate guessing, and he's just gonna sprint and dive because he's gonna go for the body in the lake.
Okay, great. Makka, how you doing there, bud? What do you do?
I'll spend 1 cure wounds on myself,
Legit.
which is a D8 plus 7, so that's 10 health points back. It's a little better.
Or Tom, do you just want to say that sealed up the arm? Because I don't think we added damage for the arm chop, right?
We didn't. It doesn't really matter at this point, I don't think. But
Fair enough.
And then I will go over to the armor. Are there any reflective surfaces nearby? Is it like the water? Surface of the water? I'm going to pick up the helmet and carry it over to the water and just show the helmet the reflection.
okay, so I think for visual sake, just given how fucked up
Just
your
one
your
hand,
body
I
is,
pick it up.
Yeah, and it's just like a dragging behind you as the armor begins to fall apart around the memorarian, and then you bring it to the edge of the water and just shove it like down towards the water, and you feel it sort of tremble and shake, and then there's almost like a massive blast as that causes you to kind of stumble away. And the helmet kind of falls inert out of your hand. Gwendolyn, the armor seems awfully available, and you feel yourself drifting back toward it.
Yeah, get me back in my fucking armor.
All right, so you swoop down, slam into it, and then suddenly it's like that classic animation thing where like all of the bits start rolling towards you, but they're all like armor
Nice.
bits. So it's like chung 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 chung. The memorarian takes this opportunity to kind of like wiggle as best it can out. So the armor rebuilds around you, and it ends with a classic like gauntlet's the last thing to come, and it kind of clicks in, and you roll your fingers and feel yourself back within your faculties. At which point you turn to say something cool to Makka and realize he's missing an arm.
No.
Gwendolyn,
What? Do you need assistance? Where's your arm?
my arm is over there, and yes, I will probably need assistance for some time.
All right,
And that's when Makka passes out from the shock of losing an arm and tremendous blood loss. Duncan, you're swimming down. It's a familiar pond. You see the body, and it's slowly kind of like dragging itself forward. But at this point, you can actually see it's having difficulty moving underwater. It literally just seems like a real fragile, dead body now. You swim deeper. This room is lit better than the other one, so the light kind of reaches to the bottom. You see kind of half-buried mirrors around it. You have your gauntlet. What do you do?
Great. I look at the body trying to drag itself away, and I raise a hand, and it comes out and just bubbles, but I say, stop. And then I say, hammer time. And with the gauntlet, I take out the ham raised earlier, and I just smash the ever-loving shit out of that lady. Fucking evil body.
Okay, the body stops moving.
Yeah, and then I'm just going to pull the head off. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to go back up with it.
Just bringing the head with you?
I don't want to leave it near the body. There's weird stuff with undead, and I think Duncan doesn't know exactly how to get rid of it, but he's pretty sure if he smashes the skull and burns the parts and the body's torched, then he's feeling confident.
Fair enough. So you bring it back up, and kind of with the head, which is no longer moving but is under your arm. The three of you kind of make your way over. I assume you're just gonna burn it immediately. Like there's no.
Correct.
Yeah. So you gather up some twigs from nearby, probably the body of the familiar as well. Although I think that is rapidly turning to mist. as it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to mix those two things anyways.
Fair
I
enough.
feel like I'd keep those separate.
So as Gwendolyn kind of packs herbs and sort of a poultice against Makka's stump,
Yeah.
you toss the head on a fire and burn it. As you do so, the last of the sneezer flies around you kind of turn to ash and fall away. The vines that have kind of wrapped the walls begin to shift, and you notice sort of an entranceway beginning to form at the north end of the room. You can see the memorarian kind of twitching as vines sort of like stab into it. It seems to be actively causing this entrance to open, and it just says to you, "The way forward is clear. You may now enter the Shadowlands. I will warn you, things will get somewhat harder from here on out, but I wish the best for all of you. Thank you for destroying her once and for all. And now I ask you to do the same for me. The weight of the knowledge of our people and the suffering we've endured and the effect that she had on all of us, the high heights she dragged our society down from are too much to bear. I've spent far too long with them. If you destroy me, they can continue on now, free of her influence and also free of their history."
But won't that prevent them from taking those heights again that have been lost?
I have had centuries to consider my lot in life. If you give them access to what I know, it will drive them mad. As I was for a few decades. Now, keep in mind, this isn't like stated fact. This is just the memorarian's opinion. Makka is in and out enough that you can activate the spore network. He's not like fully there, but if you like slapped his face a bit, we're like, we need that thing, he could. So the question posed to you is this: the memorarian got Makka to swear an oath that he would follow through on her wishes. She wishes to be destroyed and to take the memory of the Root folks' tragic past with her and allow them to kind of begin from today. With the power of the spores that he's infused in the Sundara, you can infuse all of them with the Memoranian's memories, essentially restore the cultural memory of the Root folk. However, the kind of untold bits of the story seem to suggest that there's some pretty bad shit in there. It's up to you, Gwendolyn, and Duncan, since Makka's kind of out of it. What do you do?
Well, I think it's important for them to know enough that to make sure that nothing like this happens again.
There is a risk with no memories left that they could fall prey to another predator attacking by the same method. You would
And I
leave
mean-
them open to being enslaved again.
And who are we to deny them memories that they should rightly have?
I mean, the balancing question to that one, Your Highness, is who are we to overrule their society's collective memory in determining their future? Makka's not here, so I have to play both sides for this one.
My goodness. I can't decide this.
Well, someone sort of has to. To put options on the table, Memorarian. He looks down and it was a little bit blood smudged, but he figured it out by the end of what he'd written on his arm from earlier. Is it possible for you to leave them some memories if we had a way to pass it along? You don't have to give them the darkest of the dark, but it would give them a warning against falling into the same trap again.
The Memorarian actually doesn't really understand your spore network connections at all. All she knows is what she knows.
Ah, crap. Okay, just a second. And I'm like, Makka, I didn't want to do this, but I think we might have to wake Makka up to try to explain this to the tree person. Makka, you handsome devil, hero of my heart, wake up here. Hey, how you doing, big guy?
Can they get me stable enough for
Yeah, I think so.
doing stuff? Yeah, okay.
So, Makka, here's our problem. The Memorarium wants to have us destroy them and take away the history of the root folk, saying that knowing how far they've fallen will destroy them. Our concern is it would leave them open to assault from another Covenant of Cricket person, or they might also not know where to go or why they only remember yesterday. Is it possible for you to pass on some of the memories that the memory, I'm not even going to try it, that this thing has to the others? Do you have a solution that's smarter than just burn it all or force it all on them?
I will say, you go ahead, Tyler. There is also one other option, which is to just leave her and let them sort it out.
I have a proposition. It's not any of the options, but I'll let Tom kind of rule on that.
And that's why we woke you up. Good.
Yeah.
I propose a different path. Join with me and the cluster. The connection that I created through the Sundara goes both ways. Everyone wearing the Sundara will be welcomed into the cluster, and the years and years of terrible knowledge you hold will be filtered and spread through millions and millions of consciousness, both past and present. This is the wisdom of the cluster. And so, your people will not have to forget the mistakes they have made. They will be able to learn. But you will be destroyed in this process.
The Memorarium considers this, and she says, our people's tradition is to make something of our dead. We don't return them to the earth. We don't burn them to grow new trees. We venerate them by taking them out of your cycle. This will cause my society as it stands to cease to exist. But it will also grant me the rest I so desire, and will help them in case any other fugitives from the Krekate arrive here as she once did, as a supplicant. I did swear an oath to you that I would consider additional options, and this one does seem to make sense. But understand, if you absorb this knowledge, it will assail your mind as well.
I will accept this burden.
Then embrace me and let the root folk embrace the cluster.
Yeah, and I'll turn to Gwendolyn and say, I swore to uphold the cycle and serve the turtles as well. I cannot intervene. If you wish to do so, that is upon you, Your Highness.
To be honest, I think this is a great compromise.
And so, Makka, you kind of drag yourself over to another kind of injured being. And the few spores remaining to you kind of spread to her. And as you kind of wrap an arm around kind of this, essentially this living stump, the two of you find each other in the cluster. And as your consciousness begins to fade, kind of in the midst of the pain and the just sort of gravity of all of this, you hear the most relieved sigh that you've ever heard or could conceive to hear. And as your eyes begin to defocus and glaze over, you could swear you see some branches beginning to sprout from your stump. A few days later, Makka, you awake on the side of a road. Above you is a low-hanging cloud cover of dark almost black clouds. Beyond them on the horizon, you think you can see red. The road itself seems gray and colorless, as though all life has been drained from it. As you begin to sit up, you kind of realize your lost arm is bound kind of against your chest. But rather than the sort of phantom limb you expected, you see tangled roots and disjointed fingers. But it doesn't seem to respond to you just yet. You can feel that it is connected to you, but it almost feels more alien than a phantom limb would, because this isn't really yours, although it is a part of you. As you look around, you see an overturned cart, 2 dead horses, and you see an expended pistol, missing both of its shots. And a few feet from that, a torn cloak that kind of batters as the wind blows it. Around you see nothing but desolation and destruction, and every so often the dark shifting shape of a shadow. And looking around, you have no fucking idea where your friends are.
This episode of Curse, Code, and Crown was edited by Ryan LaPlante, and the campaign was created by Tom McGee. Our original theme music was composed by Landon Knoblock, and all of Dum Dums and Dice's art is created by the brilliant Decapitated Markers. If you want to follow our players or our DM on Twitter, you can reach out to Laura at ELHamstring, Ryan at @TheRyanLaPlante, Tyler at Tyler_Hewitt, Tom McGee at McGeeTD, or you can message our whole company at DumDumDice. So please, join us again for more Curse, Code, and Crown!
Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christian Menicola, Long, the Half-Blind Prophet, James Cuellar, DM Rob, Christopher Little, Joshua White, Olin Anderson, Sue One, Devin Boyce, George Dolby, One True Artistry, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Debrief on this exciting adventure we just have. Title, Tom just told us, Fairest of them all. Good stuff. So why don't we talk about this little DM adventure side of things before we get into everybody's favorite bits? Tyler,
yeah.
You had you'd said something at the end there that I was like, wait until we're recording again. Where you were like, I hope it's cool that I threw you that curveball.
Oh,
at the end,
yes, thank you for reminding me, because I'm a little
the cluster was on the table.
I was just saying to Tom, like, hope you didn't mind me throwing that 4th option on the table. And I'm glad, and always I'm impressed with, like, you just, I'll just scoop this up and run with it and take you in a completely fantastic direction. So, like, I'm not surprised, but I'm always, like, delighted.
Yeah, I mean, I love BioWare's work, and I love BioWare games, but every so often I'd hit one of those choices in Mass Effect where it's like, do you save the orphanage or murder this bag of puppies, but you'll get a free gun? I'm like, well, wait a minute. If I save this orphanage, I'm pretty sure you're going to give me something even cooler that I just don't know about yet. So I'm all for, like, gray or moral choice, and in this particular instance, it was just that the Memorarian had such a specific point of view. It was like, she is just straight up going to demand this, and you don't need to do it. Yeah. Also, you literally just gave her your word, which in this party is actually a really big deal, but particularly because it was Makka who did it, I'd conceived of scenarios where Duncan's just like, no, we don't, like, this isn't the same as the other things we've had to do. This is beyond us. Like, fucking, we can just go. So no, I was very happy with that. And again, ultimately, like, in designing this world, I'd kind of purposely set up a bunch of problems for it that I don't need definite. So, like, I don't have a bag of solutions in my head to get you to the good ending or the bad ending, because that's the joy of doing an RPG game, is we don't have to set those things. So, like, I know roughly where the series is going, but I don't necessarily know all the details about what will happen based on your choices up until then. Like, at the Bone Spurs, I didn't know if we'd have Bone Spurs by the end of that session or not. They could just be gone, and that's fine. That's just the way the story goes. So, no, this was great. I love the resolution of this.
I love the boss fight.
Oh, thanks, man.
I mean, I feel like it's the same note I give every session. Is like, but you just create such a fun but challenging, scary, interesting scenario like every time.
No, thanks, buddy.
And I just like mechanically love the way you set these things up.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, structurally, what was so weird about this one was I set out to kind of reverse dungeon you, which was I wanted to send us on a proper dungeon crawl because we haven't done that on the show ever, really. And after like some particularly weird gray moral stuff, I was like, it would make sense to just like do it. But I also realized, based on what I wanted the root folk to be, that we had to do a bunch of RP before we got there. So it was the opposite of how you normally do this, which is like, here's the setup for the dungeon. Here's the payoff for the dungeon. It's like, here's the setup into the dungeon.
Yeah.
The end. Which is a fucking dumb way to write. So it was hell, but I'm glad it worked out. It was also, I understood the root folk in really, really broad strokes. And that it was just drilling down on that until it made sense was several days of like wandering around and thinking.
Oh, man.
Like, I made some pretty big decisions about this 10 minutes before we started.
Well, I mean,
Seems
speaking
to
for
be
myself, there was
seem
no
to
like
thrive under
logic
that
gaps or
time.
anything.
Well, I don't think you could be prepared for a few days in advance and then not spend days planning it. It's the classic like writer or filmmaker, any of that thing, knowing that you're as good as you are at what you do, Tom. There's no time a story has ever been fully locked. It just has to be said out loud now.
Yeah, and admittedly, too, usually it's like part of the reason that it doesn't solidify for me until I actually sit my ass down in the chair is that it's not that I haven't been doing the work or the thinking, it's that I've been generating all the possible leads so that when I sit down I can be like, okay, here's all the shit we could do. It's going to be these 6. And then once it's those 6, it's very, very easy to run. It's just figuring out what those 6 are was fucking driving me completely bananas all fucking week. But, yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh,
thank
sorry.
you.
No, I was keep going.
No, I was just gonna say. So, in terms of the weird thing with the root folk for me was I had a list of races, not races because that's the wrong term, but like societies and civilizations that are running around Gren, and we got to the end of the very first session, and I was like, I think I'm missing a few. So I was like, we don't have any, like at that time I didn't have any nature based shit. So I was like, okay, well so the name the root folk just kind of popped into my head. I was like, okay, so they're the root folk. That's fun. I was like, okay, well what have I never seen from nature? And I'm like, I've never seen a weird vanity based nature thing. So how does that work? And then I tied it into some other stuff I can't talk about, being like, oh, okay, well then this, and okay, interesting, fine, then this. But it's also partially just knowing what we'd just gone through. I was like, I want it to not feel like the Bone Spurs. So let's get away from the Dawnbreaker like arc for a bit. Let's get away from the Necrotis for a bit. Let's just like, not every society was wrapped up in this massive world-spanning war, and not all of them are like broken by it. So off we go. So it's balancing those two things was interesting, and that also led to a lot of problems because I was like, okay, so there's super vain plant people. So anyway, I was happy with how it all eventually came together, but yeah, there's some weirdness.
Yeah, man, that was some cool stuff. So Tyler, you already said that
I don't want to hog everything because I liked a bunch of stuff. So you guys should get to say something.
No, but I'm like, you dug the boss fight, you dug that. I mean, we've kind of switched up these different formats, but I think on this one, our best success is to have a person go around and talk to everybody, and then have somebody else go.
Okay, so we'll do like a
bounce it
character
around.
chat thing as well. Yeah. Okay, cool. So for Laura, for Gwendolyn, I am really digging your combat choices lately, because you make interesting choices. Not necessarily like, I hit it. Okay, I hit it again. All right, I hit it again. Like, I was kind of feeling pressure. Thank goodness for Tom, like, switching it up, where I was like, all right, chill touch again. Just like, it's effective and it works, but like, it's not good podcast, right? Like, you never do the same thing twice, or if you do like the same, like, on paper, like, mechanical action, you find all these cool different ways to like storyboard your character through it, or like a whole new way to approach it. And I really, really liked that, especially for, I mean, we only had a little bit of combat in this one, but like fucking going like pro wrestler on the like petrified root people was really awesome. And like really like boasting up was like, slams the way to go, Duncan, and stuff like that was really fun. Like you were like kind of like showboating a little, which was a new kind of side that we saw to Gwen this time. And then for the boss fight too, both Ryan and I were like, we gotta take this familiar down. You were like, I'm diving in the pool. We were like, what is this? And we got this great moment of this fucking lady in the lake shit of her corpse's hair wrapping around you and pulling you in, and this out of body, just like from these.
Yeah, also shout out to Tom for building beautiful narrative choices out of the weirdest player choices that are also fully justified. Yes, all yes.
So from like these seemingly arbitrary choices, just fantastic moments come out, and they feed into each other too. Because then you did this amazing, what was it called, Soul Escape? Soul
Escape, yeah.
Like I think I shouted because I was so shocked that you could do that. So
thanks, man.
I'm really digging your cool combat choices, especially for this session.
Thank you.
And for Ryan, I liked. I've talked a little bit about before, like when Duncan is like not on his A game and like enjoying like the frustration there and stuff like that. Before it was just like, just for once I'd like to fight a human or some shit, right? Like just to be able to really show off what you're all about. I really liked the kind of overprotective father kind of side that was starting to rear its face there a little bit, of like staying up late at night, sitting in the chair in the dark was a great thing. The emotional embrace of like, oh my god, I thought I lost you was really, really good. I thought it manifested in like a really interesting way in telling us to go and you staying to finish a fight, and finishing it like a really cool but also like knockdown, down and dirty, fucking scrabbling kind of way, where it was also fun that like we didn't get to see it. So whatever Duncan tells us happened is how it went down. Was great, because the juxtaposition of like he was on his literal last breath underwater choking and just finally figured out like, oh, reflection. All of that stuff was really great. So just every time the noble knight is proven to be fallible and flawed like everyone else and has his bad days is always so entertaining, and to see it in this way was really fun.
Oh, thanks, man. All right, does anybody want to go next? Should I dive in there? Who wants to go? I'll go. Man, Tyler, that fourth option is so gnarly and like character based and also kind of self-absorbed and shitty in its own way. Like, yeah, I'll just absorb your entire culture and just destroy it because of the cluster. And it was a beautiful, beautiful trap, because I was like, Duncan morally would be completely against this. But Duncan, on the oaths he's made to you, like on the ledger, can't object to this, which is like a really beautiful kind of to be in. And it's such an interesting juxtaposition from what happened at the Bone Spurs. Where like you got kind of played out by that, and like everyone's getting more morally compromised the more they kind of journey into the world, which is really, really interesting. Also, I just love your consistency. God, the answers to the questions during the Miss Orville
America thing. Yeah.
So stupid, but so great. And then like half credits because Makka's not a guy who could rephrase things in a way Trees would like, even though it would have been so easy. Like it would have been so easy. He still fucking doesn't. Yeah. My favorite joke the whole way through, and I love that it's completely justified, was just you being told to be nationalistic, and instead of choosing the nation you're in, choosing a nation that is not present, isn't competing, and they're already mad at is like very funny because we didn't do the scene where Gwendolyn told you to do it, and I thought that was the bit. And instead, it was Gwendolyn giving you instructions that would make a lot of sense, just missing the last 10% so the literal character could like do well.
Right.
Oh, that was just a joy. Laura, I love... This was the session for me that really established how young Gwendolyn is in a lot of ways. Like and it's fun the way that it worked. I don't like, because she's always been young, but a lot of it's been like inexperience and narcissism. And like, there's a lot of fun in that like ignorance and making the journey forwards. And this time it was just like, she made a lot of decisions that are like watching a teenager go in and be like, I know how to solve this social circumstance. And then just like, goat fuck it. Like some of them were so bad. It was beautiful. Just like, I'm going to build our entire strategy around a dream I had that was unclear. And it's like, that's not a way to rule a nation. And you're like, I'm going to sneak away and dive into a haunted lake that is the most important thing to the tree people and I think has something evil in it. I'll do it alone and unsupervised. And it's like, what are you thinking? And then the final fight, like, I'm diving in the lake. And it's just, I loved all of them because they were completely character moments. And they all led to cool places because A, they were completely narratively and character justified. And also, Tom, you're a genius. And I swear one of us could be like, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to spend the whole night sticking this tree in my own butt. And by the end, it would be like, well, that tree and your butt thing is going to pay off narratively. And I'm like, it's the roller coaster ride bouncy castle of storytelling. And we always come out with no one injured. It's amazing. We're an amusement park that should have been shut down, but Tom has somehow fixed every ride we've broken while running it. But no, I loved all that because it's a different kind of problem, which is the next evolution of that character. And I would not have known what that was until I saw it. And it's not that she's just worried about herself. It's that she's never had to deal with this many pieces and magic is unknown. So what the hell does she do? And she makes really good driven choices if you believe in fate, which of course you do as a royal. So I loved all that. There's just like a bunch of beautiful things there. Tom,
Thanks, Ryan.
my favorite thing about this session is that you completely threw the world into opposite land and threw everybody out of the like stuff they're comfortable in scenes, which is really fun, which is like, humans are garbage and slaves, so no one will care. Like, there's no rank anymore. And they don't know about the Dawnbreakers, and they don't know about the Necrotus, and it has nothing to do with our fucking quest in the majority of it, other than they might be good, but they might not. And you've given us enough cultural milestones that I was like, they just might not remember things.
Hang on 1 second, Ryan. I just lost video, but I guess we just finished the audio. It's saying I'm out of we're insufficient space.
Yeah, I'll tag the rest of the audio on. So if you're watching the video and want to keep going, here's the audio.
Oh, sorry, buddy. Carry on.
No worries. But it was great because there's no Dawnbreakers, there's no royalty. You don't get to engage in that level. The only one the average person can talk to is Makka, who's never had to be the ambassador for anything before. Makka has political requirements in this environment that none of us do. And you've done the cultures before, so it wasn't always like, oh, this thing is different than you would expect, so it has to be wrong. Like, we don't have that safety net that you do in a lot of D&D games where you're like, you go into a town and all of the people are also just like you and they don't remember yesterday. But I'm like, fuck, man, the fucking Impa Krimpas wink. We could have caused like a genocidal war that we would have lost if we trusted that. So I was like, trees, if they're gonna live hundreds of years, I wouldn't be surprised if they only remember yesterday. Like, who fucking knows? So it was really fun to play something that forced everybody into new circumstances. And I look forward to talking about, like, in character, what that will build moving forwards. Because it was like, yeah, Duncan is a lot more emotional and kind of flighty and kind of uninformed and dumb in this environment. And the reason why I realized as I was like talking with Laura, and it'll come up more later, but I was like, oh, I learned about my character. He actually doesn't know how to function if it doesn't have a set of rules. He's absolutely masterful in like courtly intrigue and warfare and when there's like advising someone how to lead. But like, if there's no authority figure and no hero and no villain and there's not a specific goal, he's actually completely unequipped to be able to like start from scratch and be like, they could be right or they could be wrong. There's implications if we do things. There's implications if we don't. I don't know. Why did you leave the house? I don't put him in a bathing suit. Like, it's just he's downgraded himself so intensely, and it's really fun to kind of watch him be really good at some things and terrible at other things, and to not know that going in. Like, you do really cool like expansion opportunities for all characters through the stories that you're kind of like putting us into, and then we all learn stuff and it affects things rolling forward. So I think there's the best kind of RPG going on in both how this, like, the world is telling stories and the things you're throwing at us. And it would all be so much shittier if it weren't you.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, so true. And Ryan, sorry, was there anything more you wanted to say, Ryan?
No, that's good. I already talked too much.
No, because I wanted to say, because something you kind of had touched on earlier, Ryan, for Tom, is like, I remember when, I don't know, was this like 3 years ago when we like started playing? And it's like, we would throw like the weirdest, like crazy shit. And you would be like, okay, guys, sorry, I need like 15 minutes to like rethink everything. And like you guys broke my brain, as I heard you say like multiple times. And it's like, it's so amazing that like you haven't done that. Like, I've noticed that you like haven't had to do that at all, and we haven't become less insane. You have just become like so good at like working like on the spot, just like working in like our crazy stupid shit like into the narrative, and then like weaving it into like everything moving forward that happens both with our characters and like with the world around. And it's just really fucking impressive to watch you do that so quickly. And yeah, just like fucking A, man.
Well, shucks.
Fucking A.
Yeah, it's partially because I just realized without edits I can't take breaks, so that helps.
Well, you do, yeah.
When you burn the boats behind you, you just kind of have to make a go of it, right?
Yeah, but it's nice. I mean, I'm sure your like brain is moving like a million miles an hour, but from the outside, it looks like really seamless and fun.
Well, thank you.
Tyler, I'm kind of gonna echo what Ryan said a little bit. But like, because your answers in the contest were amazing, and I think it's because like, I think it would be so easy to play the character like just for laughs in those circumstances. But you play it so earnestly that it's like of course that would be that character's answer. Like it doesn't feel I don't know, it doesn't feel cheap. It feels like sincere, you know? It doesn't feel like you're taking like the easy road of like, haha, like this will be funny. It's not like it comes
off that way because
it's so grounded.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's like it's watching a very funny actor play a role. It's not watching a comedian go in to kill for the laughs, and there's like a really big difference in that approach.
Yes, thank you, Ryan. That's like exactly what I was thinking. And I see that I saw that especially during the contest, but like that is a thread throughout like everything. Like your character says some of like the funniest goddamn stuff, but it's like, yeah, of course, of course, that's Makka's view. So that's really, really fun. Really, really fun to watch.
Thank you.
And Ryan, I mean, your one-liners are getting just better and better. You know, you're not just scared of me, you're petrified. Like, fucking killed me. But I love the way that you're like playing off of Gwendolyn so much, like, and like really doing such like a great balance of like kind of being like a parental figure in terms of like being like really protective, but also like showing like more and more like your desperation to like have me both survive but also like become like the leader that is needed. Like, I don't know if I'm expressing this well at all, but like I'm really, really enjoying kind of the code that you're creating in response to like Gwendolyn's stupid decisions and stupid actions. That's just, it's really cool. It's like, you have such great wisdom, Ryan.
Thank you. Well, it's really wise to make rule number 1 be don't make plans based on your dreams.
You really had to stretch for that one.
It's really fun. It's really fun. And like actually like one of my highlights of the session was like Gwendolyn and Duncan like bickering at each other for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. Actually, we were talking about that a little bit earlier. I'm like, it's kind of like how Ryan and I bicker sometimes.
Yeah, I intentionally didn't really want to add anything. So even when you guys would reach for me, I'd be like, nope, I'm doing another thing. You guys got this.
Yep. Well, and it's also just an interesting phase in the story that you've actually, it's gone from like, okay, we're strangers who used to know each other and have weird status and like blah, 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 to like, okay, no, like we've got to make these decisions right now, to just like, no, we're past like the honeymoon phase. Now it's literally just like, oh no, we cohabitate and we're on a long distance car ride together. All right, let's talk about who's using the plugs. Like it's great. Yeah. Yeah, for me, Laura, the ghost body thing was fantastic. That was super fun. But also just I'm so curious about kind of Gwendolyn's growth. I don't know. For me, the thing I'm kind of most hung up on is the like, what is it when your entire state of being shifts so dramatically? And what was fascinating was I found a way to threaten that today with like the armor being dragged away. But then the fact that you now, and it's literally because you leveled up, but have the ability to just like disconnect from the armor is such a wild thing, because I was like, oh man, I'm going to really twist the knife narratively. And you're like, yes, but also, whee! Which is super fun and such an interesting piece, because it's literally a character who was like, okay, I fucking died, but at least I'm anchored to this thing, and I kind of hate that I'm in this, but at least I have something, to just becoming like, no, if this is just what I am, all right, let's play, is fascinating. It was such a cool moment, and such like a weird, it was like, Miles Morales jumping off the building, finally being like, yeah, fuck you, I'm Spider-Man. Like, it's that vibe, which was super, super great. There were a lot of just awesome Gwendolyn moments throughout all this, but that one in particular for me was like, this whole session kind of gave us such a clear, not a clear in terms of like, we know exactly what the next steps are, but like a clear roadmap for like, okay, this is Gwendolyn coming into her own. I mean, she's going to like make some wild mistakes, but also has like new levels of confidence and power as a fighter and as a being, rather than just like, okay, because like it was very much like, okay, I'm a princess, I don't know how to fucking do anything now. It's like, all right, I throw my body at these stone fuckos and then I turn into a ghost. Is drastically different from like,
Yeah.
I take 2 swings and then make my sword fly. It's great.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
very, very cool.
screaming uncontrollably and doing this, which is where you started combat-wise.
So no, really, really cool growth, and sets up a really nice blueprint for where we're going. Tyler, yeah, your solution was fucking rad as hell. I loved that. There were a couple moments, I can't pinpoint them because my brain is dead. Sure. There were a couple of moments where you just responded with like a closed one-word answer to a very open question that were just spot on, perfect for like, as a role player, I might want to know more about this. Like as a guy playing this character, Tyler wants more information. Makka would not give a single fuck. And he would answer it this way, and there's no hint of irony to it. It's just literally like, I see no reason to engage in this, so we're done, was great. And honestly, your beast form stuff is fucking real fun. I got a minor hate on for druids, because sometimes the beast form stuff is just like, oh, I don't know, fucking I'm 12 dragons stitched together, don't worry about it. And you're like, but yeah, the snake was super cool. The warhorse was great. Vultures was
Oh yeah, big vulture
Chef's
points.
kiss. Super cool.
Oh my
Great
God.
choice of creature.
I love that.
Great narratively, great mechanically,
Loved it.
like just a real fucking beautiful intersection of all the things.
Oh, thanks, man.
And Ryan, I like seeing what Duncan has fun at a lot. Because for a character who's like, I'm at work all the time, like I'm on duty. Coming out in like a banana hammock made of like gnomish gloves of like super armor and just being like 100% confident in like, yes, now this. Like it goes with the braggadocio, and it goes with the idea of like someone who fights with flourish, not just with efficiency. But yeah, just every so often it's like Duncan occasionally gets to do things he actually likes, and it's so fun watching him try and do them in a way where it's like, I'm excited to do this, but none of them can know. And so like you didn't tell them what your outfit was, you just showed up and were like, and now this. Which is very, very fucking funny. And also like everyone had some really interesting failures today, and like gifts like wearing the silk, woven silk steel, whatever the fuck, that we established is like gets hard when it gets hit by things, and then failing a dice roll. I'm like, this is the easiest nut shot in the world, and it's so weird and specific. With this fucking glove constricting, like very funny. And then just like the last stand piece was really a lot of fun as well, because you've talked about that a bunch, but usually it's like the situation resolves faster, whereas in this case it was literally like, yeah, all right, I'm gonna go fight the fucking ring down a well. Good luck, everyone. And it was super, super cool. So, yeah, great stuff all around. I don't know, all of you did real good. I'm real content with how that all went.
And you did good too, Tom.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah.
And now we all get to go not sleep for like at least an hour, because none of us can after these sessions, but theoretically it's
No.
already late, so we should.
What are we
Yeah.
gonna watch, Ryan?
Probably Space Force. We'll see. It just came out.
Okay.